Happy Canada Day! It is Canada Day! It is Canada Day! It is Canada Day! It is Canada Day! Happy Canada Day! Yours truly, coast to coast to coast, and you know yours truly. Happy Canada Day! I got it on the go, and you know I got it tatted. I got that Canada tatted on, so I'm always wearing the flag. I got some red, and I got that Montreal. Montreal says Montreal right here. Shirt. Oh, another flag. I'm not competing, it's not a competition, it's cooperation. I got that maple leaf and I always carry my flag on me. It is Canada Day. Gotta begin, commence with gratitude. That backpack got those red gloves, that red backpack got those red gloves, and I guess I'm wearing the shoes, red and white. Red and white, auctioning them for me, and they were gifted. Yours truly by my anonymous friend. Anonymous friend gifted me, of course, a few. Well, these shoes, actually for the holidays, a little bit early, last day was October, November, something like that, when I got that gift for the shoes, and that's how we drill it on these shoes to the mountain. July 1st, paid my rent, paid my electricity bill, paid my rent, paid my electricity bill. The only thing left to pay this week, by Friday, July 4th, if not by the weekend next Monday, it will be the cell phone bill for yours truly. I guess that's a more old school flag. Yeah, kind of specially made, tailored. I like that. Yours truly, Canadians, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, financially struggling, stressed. Encouraging all to work out, train, exercise. This independent N.A.C.P artist, athlete, philosopher, geopolitical theoretical, honest, and theorist, and mystic who loving some of these beautiful flowers now on the go. You know where we're heading? If you don't know, you will know that we're heading towards my second home. My mistress, the forest, on the mountain, encountering beautiful flowers as we go along the way on the journey. Mount Royal, the three-peak mountain system, right at the heart center of Montreal, right between the east and the west, slightly south, but not entirely in the center between the north and the south, but exactly in the middle between the east and the west of the island of the hawk, H-A-W-K, my totem bird. You can find the hawks flying around Montreal, Hawk Island, and it is a sunny, hot day, although there's some thunderstorms, some storm maybe weather along coming on the go, but I'm not sure. Gonna get that checking in and see how that storm goes, but sometimes you need a little bit of that storm, and you need a lot of water to clear, and it's July 1st, so it's hot, and yours truly, Canada Day. My brothers and sisters, you know I'm a philosopher, and with Asperger's, I live with this neurological mental divergent condition, so I'm part of a tiny small minority of the population on the planet which have this condition known as Asperger's, also known as HFA, and just to briefly discuss it. So this is also for my fellow ASPE, 44 million Canadians. I guess we reached that number now with my brothers and sisters who came to join us here in the great Collectif, North American Civilisation complex from all over the world, and we gotta get it. Happy Canada Day. And of course, we gotta get it on the go, and I was saluting my cousin there, smiled and gave me a head nod, busy texting, but he wore that shirt and it said Canada 1867 on it, Confederation, I guess July 1st, but you know, I was listening to a little bit of my Uncle Carney speaking a little bit, and he said Federation, but you know, actually in truth is that Canada was founded as a confederation, and of course I am an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and strategist, and I corrected Carney and said, well, it's not actually a federation like the United States formulated, but it is actually a confederation, and that is, of course, the uniqueness. And my brothers and sisters, you know, send love to all, coast to coast, coast to coast, coast to coast. But the king is absent. I do believe that it is time for the Republic, as I salute, and it's time for us to move in the 21st century, new concordium. But I'm not going to go much into politics. I'm just going to salute the firefighters, the truckers, the bakers, the nurses, and I will complain a bit, because somebody told me I shouldn't question that much, and I said no, I'm grateful, don't misunderstand me. It's just that I wanted to make a notation, and I will make a notation that the prices of the milk have gone up again by $1 And the other one's another brand that I didn't buy by $2. That was too expensive for me to buy, formulating according to my budget, which is super financially stressed. That's my only stress right now. And the other day I used to buy a meal. It was $5 for lunch. I used to have fries and pieces of chicken and pieces of meat and pieces of food, you know, like onion rings or crazy, something like in the genre of like onion rings and certain food elements which were incorporated on the side, and it was $5. Now, of course, it was after $5, it went up to $7, and now it's up to $9. And the worker who told me there, he told me that because I asked a question. I said, "It's $9 now. It used to be $7." I said, "Yeah, it went up to $8, and now it's $9. So that's $2. So you can consider that per percentage. That $2, of course, $2 out of 7. So how do you calculate that percentage? So 70 cents or 70 is 10%, right? In order to calculate the percentage. So that means that it's gone up almost 30%, right? Because 70 cents is 10% out of 7 what it used to be. I'm not going to go to the 5 original because that's even more. It almost doubled, right? But of course 70 cents times 3 is $2.10. So it went up by $2. So that means that's 10% representing 70 cents. And this I'm just making because the numbers calculate in my mind. But of course that is almost 30%. Since just last year when I bought, I think it was last spring or when did I buy it? Last autumn, I believe autumn. So something between September and November, something like that. September and November. So that's almost 30%. Almost 30%. So that is something to consider, you know. Just taking into considerations of the 30% which we gotta get doing on that, and that's what we gotta get meditating. So I said, wow, that was an affordable lunch for yours truly, you know, from $5. Even at 7 it was okay. There's another flag spotted up. I'm a marching flag now today, I guess. But nonetheless, so I made a little complaint, and the person said, stop quetching, and I said, well, I'm still grateful for what I'm able to afford, you know, with my anonymous friend, and I paid my rent today, July 1st, but now I'm already in the red, you know. I'm already in the red, and I'm gonna be able to afford to pay my cell phone bill. So we're stressed, and paradoxically this July 1st, I present on the table the solution. The DRT, the debt fusion theories, I have to repeat, not just because I have Asperger's, which I do, and again, just to introduce what I am as a neurodivergent, as I gaze upon that flag. Asperger's is a neurological mental divergent condition. So the population of Aspies in Canada is not a big percentage. So I'm part of this tiny small fraction of the population. Also, for my fellow neurodivergents and fellow LGBTQ, throw it up. I am androgynous pansexual due to my reincarnation. Sometimes in a past life was a woman, a man, and you get that 50-50 now, you know. You get that 50-50 androgynous pansexual. So, but that LGBTQ community is about, depending whether we're speaking Gen X, Gen Z, Gen Z, boomers, or Gen Z, or millennials. It's about between 5 and 7%. Millennials is about between 5 and 7%, and Gen Z is about 7 to 9% in North America, but this is North American numbers, so it's still a fraction of the population, minority. But Aspies were less than 1%, less than half of a percent, 0.44%. 0.44%. So there's not a lot of Aspies in the world, and there are major problems which we encounter, and let's say that as we're going to move towards the Republic, the king is absent, this will be addressed. And the three main problems that Aspies face, and once again we have to take 100% into account, philosophically, intellectually, and in all levels, psychologically, that Asperger's is not a mental illness. Yes, indeed, in certain things I am less capable. Social impairments are certain things which our brains just don't register, don't compute the social cues. Me, I have to be told more directly. You know, for example, if you want to make love to me, you know, just tell me directly so I can know, because the mind games and all that, we just don't understand. It confuses us, you know. We don't get that. But I learn my vulnerabilities now because of a special book, my anonymous friend, you know, who gifted me the book are appreciating Asperger's syndrome. It's just we don't fully get certain things, you know, of a social nature. So we have to be told, and sometimes we also Aspies are pretty direct and straightforward, and we have our problems, and our problems usually revolve the problematics of an Aspies usually is a lot of misunderstandings. And again, it's not a mental illness. Our brains have these mutations, right? Our brains have these mutations. The children are happy, I'm happy. I hear them joyous, content, because they're innocent, and you know, it's their joy, and they're innocent and joyous. So I gotta salute the youth and all the Gen Z, the millennials, all the generations, all who built in the 20th century. And you know, that just what I'm gonna have to do today on this long marching vlog, as I marched to my second home, the mountain, and discuss a little bit about Asperger's, which I have, Aspies. So again, it's neurodivergence. Asperger brain is different. So my brain, Aspie brains have this mutation. It's not out, so it's not bulging out of the head like 10 snakes, you know, who bulge out of the head, and whatever the case may be, or bulging, really protruding noticeably outwardly. But internally, they are these mutations. And of course, these mutations account for the certain characteristics of which we are ourselves involved in, and of course which we are of course involved on a daily basis as we go, of course, on the daily basis. And of course the interactions which we have and which we make with the non-Aspie world, with the neurotypical world, sometimes they seem to be a bit awkward and weird and bizarre. And I gotta give some salutations to the public workers. Gotta sing some workers to the Rock&Roll today. I guess they gotta get paid 50% more, because it's a holiday, federal holiday, and that's what it is about to be. So public workers, send some LOV, stay hydrated, big loving. And hey, civilization is a privilege, you know. Think about it, just having electricity in your home. Thank you, Hydro-Quebec, go electricity, Hydro-Quebec. And of course to build all these, you know, something which we gotta get doing with that, and we gotta get doing with that code, man, you know. So that is something which we have, you know. Look at this, we gotta get on that drill and XYZ, and we gotta get XYZ, you know. So that's how we gotta get drilling, man, here, you know. For employment is such a big issue in our community, the Aspie community, that employment is very high, and that's unacceptable. Look at these beauties. These just made my day. Gorgeous, 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 beautiful. And these also, these are super nice. Red, my favorite color. This is also a nice garden here. It's so luscious. Anyways, so that's what it is with that, and that's what we gotta do with that to get going. XYZ, and we gotta get in an XYZ. We get XYZ, and we gotta get going on the left, right side, and on the do. So that's what it is, and that's where we're going. That's what it is for the go, you know. Oh. Yeah, see. Oh. So that's Asperger's. So Asperger's, once again, is this neurodivergence. Neurodivergence. But this neurodivergence and this, of course, mutations are not outwardly visible. Of course, are not outwardly visible. But they're internal. Are not outwardly visible. So this difference makes us weird, eccentric, odd. I'm gonna cross in the sun. And this eccentricity, oddness, and weirdness, bizarreness, makes us, of course, that we have these special focused interest. So they're not outwardly visible. Meaning that the brain mutations are not big mutations. They're not big mutations. But they're consequential enough at the microscopic levels to account for this big difference in how we perceive the world and how we process certain information. And that's where the problem lies, because Aspies usually lack, and yes, we are less able, less capable, we have difficulty in certain things of a social nature. So the social aspect of the society we don't fully know and understand. Or it's hard for us to grasp. So grasping it, or understanding it as a neurotypical might, which you neurotypicals constitute the 99.56% of the population compared to us 0.44%, so not even 1%. There's not a lot of Aspies in the world. In Canada and in the United States, it's about 0.44%. And that's what we got, and that's how we do. So basically 0.44% is a tiny fraction of the population. So that is the accountability where the accounts have to be to take into account the major distinction in terms of the population percentage of people who are neurotypical, the vast majority, 99.56%, compared to Asperger's, who are also considered to be within the HFA, high functioning autism. But however, within the high functioning autism, of course, who are on the go, and that's what it is with that. Who are on the go, meaning that who are on the spectrum as well. Who are on the spectrum. And that spectrum, of course, is something which we have to differentiate between high-functioning autists and Aspies. Because I use the word Asperger's still, the word Asperger's, to denote what I have, what I live with. And I've been diagnosed for many, many, many years, but by several people and individuals, although I did not accept that I'm the label, because, I'm different, and Aspies were different, and we have this great certain difficulties in certain things of a societal nature as we don't understand. We have to be told things more directly. For example, I wouldn't be able to tell, for example, if somebody's hitting on me, so if you want to make love to me, black, white, or rainbow, man, women, you just gotta tell me, you want to make out, but you gotta be 18 plus, and I guess maybe I could lose some loving skills, and I'm not looking for anything specific, not really looking romantic. I'm gonna propose again, I guess, until the full moon, and full moon is coming on the 10th, I guess. That's the deadline. So I proposed again, but it's gonna be special type of marriage, but that's what we gotta get doing with that drill. So that is something which we have to get consequentially. Look at that beautiful garden, and something which we have to be doing, something which we have to be doing. And I guess it's just living with the condition. But the problem for Aspies, major problems, is three problems which we encounter, but at different levels. But the problem is we don't have a lot of friends. And again, like I said, friends with benefits only. You know what to expect. Friends with benefits. You want to make the good, loving rainbow dragon. You're black, you're white, you're a man, you're a woman. I'm part of the LGBTQ community. We go that androgynous, pansexual. But also, this is unacceptable, the high unemployment rate. It's 80%. It's 11 times higher than in the neurotypical community. 80%. 80% is very high, There's another flag there. So 80% is unacceptable. 80% is unacceptable. That is another one. So that is 80%. So that's 11 times higher. 11 times higher. 11 times higher. So that's unacceptable. Another one is 9 times higher, the depression and suicidal rate. Eleven times higher. Can you imagine that? 11 times higher the unemployment rate. Parallel to the unemployment rate, the depression and suicidal rate. And I was depressed and suicidal. Eleven times higher. Eleven times higher. So that's totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. 9 times higher is the depression and suicidal rate. Suicidal. Depression and suicidal. 9 times. Nine times higher. Nine times higher the depression and suicidal rates. Nine times higher. Think about that. Compute that number, for instance. That is totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. 9 times. Parallel, of course, 11 times. The higher unemployment rate. And I had many jobs. Many jobs, which I loved. But short-lived, a few months, a few weeks, a few days. Eleven times higher. 11 times higher. So that is unacceptable. Really unacceptable. In the dimensions, of course, of where we live, it's totally unacceptable. That is so high, so super high. 80%. 80%. I'm gonna just go take the route of that hydration. Look at these beautiful flowers here. 80%. So that's equivalent to 11 times higher than the other rates. 11%. 11%. So of course 11%. Oh, I spotted another flag. I'm gonna count the flags, I guess, today. Canada Day special. So again, that's just Asperger's for you. 3 main problems: lack of friends, and I have need for friends who benefits only. Pledge your allegiance. I guess my only fans are the crows, I guess. My only fans are the crows, you know. My only fans are the crows. My only fans are the crows. And that's what it is with that, and that's what we gotta get drilling. And of course, parallel to the other ones are of course the suicidal and depression. And I was depressed and I was suicidal. But it's 9 times higher in the N.A.C.P community. So N.A.C.P is like myself, I'm 9 times higher than the neurotypical community to live that experience of suicidal ideation and depression. And I was depressed, I was suicidal. What got me out of being depressed and suicidal was crossing Canada coast to coast, ocean to ocean, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. When I crossed Canada coast to coast, ocean to ocean, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. When I crossed Canada coast to coast, ocean to ocean in 2017. Canada. 2017, before that, before August. In August, I went out west, that way. Vancouver, British Columbia. August 2017, and of course, in August 2017, I went there. And of course, in September 2017, I went in Halifax, Nova Scotia. In Halifax, Nova Scotia. In Halifax, Nova Scotia. Beautiful yellow. So that event made me come out of being depressed and suicidal. That's what made me come out of being depressed. Crossing Canada coast to coast made me establish a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Quebecers, Canadian Quebecers, and that event made me come out of being depressed and suicidal. Hey, going kind of fast there, I know. Maybe a little bit too fast, buddy. There's children here. I think here it's supposed to be like 20, 30, whatever the case may be. So I live being depressed and suicidal, but what got me out of being depressed and suicidal was crossing Canada coast to coast. So after my hydration, over there the corner, in the public workers, I'm gonna finish on the Asperger's just again, because I'm an N.A.C.W.P artist, athlete, philosopher, geopolitical, theoretical, honest, and theorist, and mystic. Independent, geopolitical, theoretical, honest, and theorist, and mystic, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, and that's how we gotta get rock and rolling, man, you know. Something which we gotta get doing, man, you know. Something which we gotta be appreciating of, you know. They gotta get that XYZ, and the kids are there doing some of that roll, and that's why they gotta get drilling, man, to get it on the go with that, and they gotta get it on the love, man. And that's how we gotta get doing, and we gotta get manifesting here as we go, and sometimes which we gotta be appreciating on the things we have. So Asperger's is a mental divergent, neurological mental divergent condition. So that condition makes, of course, me predisposed to those special interests, and those special interests are, many aspects have different special interests, but mine is geopolitics 24/7, the study, the analysis. Even today couldn't help myself, and not just the study, the analysis of geopolitics, but also sports and fitness, and that rock and roll, you know, that rock and roll. And that's what I'm gonna get it on. Meditate. Usually I live about 10-15 seconds, of course, to get it on the go, and just get it on the go. Get it. Nice clean water, because otherwise it gets a little, you know. But I'm still grateful, thankful that it was built here for yours truly to hydrate. So let's add and finishing in here. Great thing to do, jog out there today. That's what we gotta get doing with it. And we gotta get doing on that rock and roll side. And yeah, I just want to show off a little bit of this. I show it off every time I pass by here, but I gotta show it off now because it's a dog park. Which, if you have dogs and they enjoy doing the dog parking, I mean getting the dog into a dog park, well, this is the one that you might want to come, because it's very extensive and it's very pleasurable, I guess, for certain individuals to get it on the go and do it now for that. And that's what we got to do, man. So yeah, so inclined to do, and so inclined to get that rock and roll with it. It's a great dog park. So to finish on the Asperger's, it's not a mental illness. It is a neurological mental divergent condition, makes us predisposed to these repetitive rituals, routines, repetitive ritualized routines, where we can be pretty intense, super focused, super concentrated, super dedicated, because most of our lives and daily activity revolves around those special interests. And mine happen to be, of course, my holy trinity: geopolitics, sports and fitness, dancing is my favorite sport, and rock and roll. So in these three, always involved 24/7. I'm gonna take it through here. 24/7. In a different way, sometimes differently than others, but on a daily basis, I am engaged in doing geopolitical analysis, developing strategy, binational usually, strategy for Canada and United States, extended to the NATO complex, but as a secondary and tertiary, I guess, for world peace complex, and of course first and foremost for Canada. So I guess the fourth dimension would be for world peace. And of course we have the sports and fitness for me, dancing being my favorite sport, and rock and roll. I always rock and roll Canada Day. It's the day, Canada Day, yeah. Gotta sing it through North Strong and Free. It ain't enough. Gotta add some loving. And gotta get the king out of here. It's time for the Republic, for the Dragon Army. Look at the beautiful sky. So yours truly for the firefighters, truckers, nurses, across the 63 of course, but today's Canada Day special, but across the 10 provinces, 50 states, 3 territories, because we're gonna have to get that fusion. We're gonna have to get that fuse, we're gonna have to get that merged. Look at the truckers going east, going north, going south. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful clouds. Sometimes you just gotta look. Look at those clouds, that's south, south, south. ASOUTH. And see how my mind now works? Because I have special interests my special interest is geopolitics, and I am an independent geopolitical analyst and theorist. Now my mind focuses on the trucks on this highway from an integral perspective, for my coupled with my binational strategy for the North American Collectif, not to be confused with bipolarity as in the psychiatric, psychological malaise term, but is a bipolar as in Canada, United States, as referring to geopolitics, unipolar, multipolar, but we're going to establish together by fusing the bipolar new geopolitical order where we are going to have dominance in the 21st century. So now my mind, of course, meditates on all the truckers who transport the potatoes, the bacon, the cheese, the milk, the bread, and etc. Lots of other goods, you know. Civilization is, I can't believe this. Today I saw prices increasing again, and I said milk, I didn't, but last time I bought milk, to be honest, I think it was for my, suppose I was born November 6th, I mean, I have to look, I can't find my birth certificate. I think I moved either 9 years ago, where I live now, either 9 years ago, or maybe possibly 10 years ago. So I gotta double check, but it's possible 9 years this July 1st that I moved where I live now, in my underground lair. Underground dragon's lair, underground dragon lair, underground dragon lair. In my underground dragon's lair, you know? So maybe 9 or 10 years, maybe 2016 or 2015. So I don't know. But all my documents show that I was born November 6th. November 6th. So I think last time I bought myself milk was, wow. Last year, 2020, is 8 months, gonna be soon 8 months. And now I can pass, but see, I gotta be cut. I know I can pass because you can see it there, but got a few seconds. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I guess that's all I needed. Plenty enough to cross the street. Because I saw it on the other side. Because here that's gotta be cut because you can't see the pedestrian lights. Anyway, so my brain, you see, sometimes it switches, and when I pass through highways and I see truckers and the trucks thereof, I always put it into the context of geopolitics. That's elderberry. This is elderberry, by the way. This can actually make juice. That can make juice, actually. It's elderberry. I'm actually making elderberry juice myself. I didn't take it from here. I took it from the wilderness, not from the Publik or private, and from the wilderness. Wild elderberry juice. So now we're already on the mountain. The peak, we went up, and we're still going up in Westmount, one of the 3 peaks of the mountain, Mount Royal here. And I gotta say, I love this architecture, and I guess I could split 50-50 with my anonymous friend. And you know, I got that raw retrograde amnesia. I have trouble remembering my life prior to 2015, 2014-ish. And it goes like blackout, 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 blackout. But I don't know, maybe I had a discussion with somebody the other day and said, you know, were you an alcoholic? Were you an alcoholic? Maybe. Maybe. And maybe I was drinking alcohol, maybe I was an alcoholic, and that's what caused, or the trauma. I was attacked by surprise a few years ago. This month I'm getting again. I was supposed to go, but I guess I got delayed. But of course, maybe by next month I'll go. Not by next month, by next week, for sure, before the full moon, to retrieve my archives. Because look at that beautiful red door. So I was attacked by surprise attack a few years ago. Hit my head, was bloodied up. Hit my head on the concrete in the Montreal metro. Had a dislocated right arm. Shoulder actually, and went to the Jewish General Hospital to replace it in beautiful flower pots there. And they cracked it back, and I was given some meds, and I was like in a type of coma state for a few days, you know. So, and my life prior to moving from this, I used to live still on the island of Montreal, small underground, very small, tiny underground prison type of cell, small underground type of prison type of cell, you know, like very moldy. It was basically like a prison cell, small prison cell, but I guess I served my time. And I moved from there maybe 2015 or 2016. So if it's 2015, that means this year, July 1st, it's 10 years since I lived there. Look at that beautiful crane there. So maybe that's 10 years. And that's what it is, maybe. And so we gotta get going. Maybe that's 10 years, you know, or 9. So either 9 since I moved. And then I got that blackout of memory, you know. It's a moldy place, like a prison type of cell. And I was depressed, suicidal, so for a few years after I moved. But after 2017, when I crossed Canada coast to coast, that event changed my whole life and the dynamics of my life. And I came out of being depressed and being suicidal. Being depressed and being suicidal after that event. A beautiful flowers kind of hanging there. And these little pots with bright flowers I like. So that changed my life for the better. And most of my work, which have been dictating in the past days, in the past weeks, in the past months, in the past years, especially since February 2020 when I had COVID, and I gotta say I survived COVID. COVID was like death, pestilence, and disease. I thought I was gonna die. I thought that was my last chapter. See how it goes down. So we're on the mountain now, and it keeps on going up. So from down there, you start coming up and up and up and up, and on the mountain. So now we're on the mountain, really. Westmount, I love that building there. Just the red on it. I can split 50-50 with my anonymous friend on that, I guess. And That's how we're gonna get drilling with that, and love me some cranes and some sky. So basically, it's a beautiful one, eh? Look at that. All of my work that I'm really relating is post 2017, whether my ideas, my theories, my protocols, which are mostly for the North American Collective, the initiative for the North American Collective. And even today, that's July 1st, festive day, I will not shy away to delve into geopolitics because it's relevant, and I'm celebrating, I guess. I'm wearing the red and white shoes, which were gifted to me last year by an acquaintance in my neighborhood, and they're quite nice. I am not wearing the steel toes today, or military grade. I guess we're gonna go because I want to just go in and out. So not more than 5 hours today. Yesterday I did more than 5 hours, but today I'm just gonna in and out it on the mountain at the top and back to my headquarters to watch a movie with my anonymous friend who wasn't my friend because of the money, because I never had any. And again, for Aspies, the problem is high unemployment, 80%, 80, 4 out of 5, 0.4, 4 out of 5, 8/10, 4/5 infraction, if you will, 80, EIGHTY, 80, you know, 80%, that's unimaginably high. So not 11 times higher than the neurotypicals, 11 times higher, and the depression and suicidal rate is of course 9 times higher, 9 times higher, 9 times higher. That is just what it is, 9 times higher. That is what it is. And that's the more difficult part of the things. 9 times higher, and of course 11 times higher for the others, who are the vast majority of the population, neurotypicals, 99.56%. And problem is also the friend. So those are the trinity of problems. But yes, we're weird, we're eccentric, we're odd and strange and bizarre. But personally, I'm somebody who doesn't like violence. Do not like violence. I don't like violence. I don't like violence. I am hyper vigilant. Hypervigilance is, I guess, something which I gotta be, and that's what it is with that. And that's just how I live, and that's just how I relate to the daily things of life of which we are involved. This house, I could split 50-50 also. My anonymous friend, beautiful flowers there. It looks like a snake. See, type of like a snake coiling, and that's just what it is with that. Just like a snake on that coil, and we gotta get it on that drill, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, you know. So that's just what I gotta be doing, you know. So that's just what we gotta be doing, man. We gotta be drilling on the go, man, you know, just that's something which we have to be thinking about, you know. It's something which we gotta be thinking, meditating on the thoughts and the feelings which we have. And Aspies, yeah, we have emotions, you know, we have empathy, but the problem is that we show the empathy and the compassion by action. So we will not necessarily console somebody verbally, but if we're in the power to do something for another, we will. For friends will benefit. It's only me too. I will to get a massage therapy session, you know. For 5 years now I've been asking any volunteers, but you know what? Wall Street millionaires, billionaires of Canada, United States finance the truckers, finance the firefighter first, nurses, firefighters in the public, a good massage therapy session, you know, because they deserve it and earn it. Yours truly, more than yours truly, I guess. And this is a way beautiful, bright. Love it. Beautiful, bright. beautiful, bright flowers. Oh, a little front garden, I guess. So nice. So that's just that on Asperger's. Now I'm gonna discuss geopolitics. It's Canada first of July, but this is Quebecer Canadian. You know, I believe in reincarnations, and sometimes I get flashes of my reincarnation. And you gotta read George Patton, one of my favorite poems. George Patton, the four-star general of the United States, Second World War period. As of course, also believes in reincarnation. See, that's the south there. And see how it goes down? That's far away. That's very far, actually. That's kilometers and miles away that you see on the island. And see how it goes down? And there still goes up, 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 up. See, like it goes up. And it goes down, 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 down the slope. And here it still goes up. So we're still going up. We're still ascending until Mount Royal proper. We're still in ascension, if you will. If you want it like that, I guess. And so, happy July 1st. Gonna have some wine and cheese. Thank you for the cheese. Was $5 for is it half a kilo? Helicopters, we need 300 for the Dragon Army. Helicopter choppers also. We need some choppers. Speaking of the Dragon Army, there's another flag spotted. Special flag spotted march, eh? Canada Day flag spotted. I'm sure I gotta show my flag because I'm always carrying on me. Don't ask me. Probably got that decades ago. And I do know a little bit of my life prior to 2014 due to some journals that I kept. Old journals, and I have to really clean my place again. I still live in a bit bigger than where I used to live, but still a small. I can't have any guests. So enough with the Asperger's, but yes, Aspies of the world, I guess, unite. North American Aspies, 0.40, with the 0.44%. It's not even 1%, so that's how we gotta get drilling with that. And here I'm grateful then for getting a little bit of more hydration on that. That's what we gotta be doing with that. So here we gotta get on that appellation, man. And I like sports. I like to see fitness activity and sports, a little bit of that good tennis, and that's all we got. And that's what we gotta get doing on that, man. You know, we gotta get doing on the love side of things, and you get some balls with that. Get some balls in, man. Gonna wait a few seconds. Here. Usually about 10-15 seconds. 10 or 15 seconds. That's what it is, man. Let's go drill it. 5 more seconds. Oh yeah. Oh. See? Look, that's the south there. South. That's the south, man. You know? That's the south. See the south there? That's the south where we're gonna drill it, you know? That's the south, see? That's south. And you see the river is surrounded. The river surrounds Hawk Island, Montreal, you know. That's the river, you know. So you can see part of it. Sometimes we're there by the river, but out in the west. But that's miles and miles and miles and kilometers away. That's not actually close. The river is far away from here. Kilometers and miles away. Maybe 20 actually. I would say about 20. Kilometers, not miles. Miles is about 15. So distance calculation, but that is just approximations, of course. I cannot fully compute by my brains, but I can estimate. So I cannot fully compute, but I can estimate, make an estimation, but I cannot fully be computational about the distance, although I see a bit blurred myself, but I'm able to know by experience, because all I know of the island, but as much as I know civilizational complex and the ideologies of communist China and the 20th century history and the 20th century Cold War geopolitics, that's what I specialize in. And now we're gonna just immerse in real geopolitics, and we're gonna discuss my DRT. So real geopolitics with a K, just to denote a little bit of a German school, German as in Deutschland school. But also I am partly an idealist, I gotta say, not sentimental, but I have a little bit of a semi-utopianism in me, partly utopianism, I guess, part of a dreamer, if you will, because I believe myself I'm not totally selfish, but I believe that people, we can do good, you know. We can do some good. But we have to punish sometimes, I guess, some sense of justice as well, you know. But that's what we gotta get doing on that sense of justice for the X and for the Z and for the white and for the black and for the rainbow. And we have to have some sense of justice, and that's what we have to get doing on that. And that's what we gotta get drilling, man, you know. Look at this beautiful, beautiful machine. Takes brains and muscle. The public worker is gonna change some aqueducts, and see, that's also something which we take for granted. Because civilization, brothers and sisters, is a privilege. Just having running water there at top, as I just hydrated, you know, to build all the aqueducts, the Hydro-Quebec plants. Here we got clean, zero pollution, zero emission electricity. Gotta take that into account, because as a philosopher as I am, I know the practicality of the requirement of both brains and muscle, theory and practice, just like my trinity of theories, the CIT, citizen integration theory, the DRT, Detrol fusion theory, the DFT, democratic fusion theory, has to be put into practice by all the organizations, institutions in a public-private partnership manner, such as my new 911 Dragon North American protocols, because of course 911 is for the United States and Canada and even Mexico, right, the police responses. And I, of course, have my philosophies to move our security apparatuses and security forces here in Canada, being the police forces and the RCMP, which gotta become the Republican Canadian Guard or the Republican Canadian Police, you know, as we're gonna move towards the Republic Federation, and we're gonna fuse with the United States in that public-private partnership manner, Democratic Republican, a party to supersede the existing parties for the fusion of Canada and United States, and also known as the N.A.C.W.P, the North American Collective Workers Party. The North American Collective Workers Party. It's Arbeit with me 24/7. I love work, I love my jobs, but I'm different and weird, and you know, these Asperger's, it can be a very tough, difficult thing for non-Aspies. I'm not going to use non-Aspies because we're not antagonistic, and there's no parasitical or any relationship like that. Like, it's a symbiotic, mutually beneficial relation, which can be very beneficial, especially when we build bridges together and read the book Appreciating Asperger's Syndrome. So between myself as a neurodivergent and with a neurotypical. But there's no antagonism, because we both have qualities which can solidify each other in action. But the action has to be taken, you know, mutually understood, mutual understanding, and understanding of what we are. And myself as an Aspie, being that I am different, and in certain things I totally lack, and totally lack certain things, and totally lack certain, of course, of the skills of some things which we have to be complementary about in the daily things and engagements of the social nature of which we endeavor ourselves, for the sovereignty of the individual with the collective. And usually when I refer to Collectif, it's North American Collective Civilizational Complex. The 10 provinces, 50 states, and 3 territories. 10 provinces, 50 states, and 3 territories. Beautiful yellow flowers there, but all bundled up. So that is just what it is, you know. Nice gardens here we have in Westmont. So now I'm just gonna delve into the geopolitical reality. So this following statement, which I'm gonna make, there's no no. There's no no, there's no maybe, there's only yes to this following statement. So to disregard sentimentality and disregard other issues of the such XYZ, and okay, yes, it's Canada Day, but I still gotta rock and roll with the geopolitics. So ours is Quebecers Canadians, because I'm a Quebecer Canadian North American. Ours interest, first primordial interest, a number one spot in primordial, most important principle for us as Quebecers Canadians is to have the best, most cordial relations with each other. Canada, United States. This is reciprocal. This is vice versa. This is vice versa. This is vice versa. You know, this is vice versa. You know, this is vice versa. This is vice versa. So this cannot change. This following statement, one has to say yes, and not a no and not a maybe. So us as Quebecer Canadians, as Canadians, Canada, our first number one priority when it comes to foreign affairs and foreign relations, exterior diplomatic foreign relations, is to have the best, most cordial relation, economically, financially, politically, military, defense, social, cultural, with the United States, and the United States with us. That has been a constant in the 20th century. That's a constant today, July 1st, Canada Day. And that will be tomorrow and for the coming 21st century. That's just like the pie. The pie, you know, the pie. The pie, of course, the pie. The pie. Not the pie as in the apple or strudel or strawberry pie or cherry pie or chocolate pie or berry pie or pumpkin pie or pudding pie, not in the edible pie, but in the pie. Pie is in the mathematical symbol which represents a relation between the circle with its diameter and circumference. The number representing pi is always 3.1415. It goes ad infinitum. So that's a mathematical constant. That number doesn't change, meaning it doesn't change. It's not a variable. That means a variable can change, but a constant cannot. It always stays the same. So, just the pi, best to represent that constant. So us, our constant geopolitical reality for us Canadians, Quebecer Canadians, 44 million now, all who came to join us during the past 5 years of COVID as well, is to have the best, most cordial economic, financial, commercial, diplomatic, defense, relations with each other, you know, with each other. Look at that beautiful blue, beautiful blue, beautiful blue, beautiful blue, beautiful blue, eh? That's what it is with that, and that's what it is. So that is just the most cordial, that is just the primary that's just the number one. See how it goes down there like that? Now we're still going up. So that is our number one interest when it comes to foreign affairs. When it comes to foreign affairs, that is our number one interest. There's no way around that. It's not a maybe, it's not a no. That is a constant geopolitical reality. Don't want to get too intellectual about it because I can, but I guess it's not really necessary for me to go into a more deeper intellectual, sophisticated, scholarly diatribe on the point. The point is that it is So, and it's a yes to that geopolitical statement. So for us to move forward into the discussions when it comes to geopolitics, both Canadians and my brothers and sisters in the US have to make that statement yes. Yes. It's a yes, 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 yes. Our main interest is to have the most cordial relations with each other. With the relations with each other. That's just the constant. Just that is whatever. It is the constant. The constant what it is. It's a mathematical constant. That's just what it is. So there's no way around that. That's just what it is. That's just what it is. That's just the constant. And so that constant has to be applied when our leaders, politicians, Uncle Carney, Granddaddy Trump, and by the way, it's a Dragon versus Trump Canada Day. I got those red gloves, which my anonymous friend did. Backpack, right there in the red backpack, and across the street, and right there, gifted red gloves. I got the red boxing gloves in my backpack, and I have been able to challenge Donald Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border, and have been ever since. Have been ever since 2018, when Donald Trump decided to make the mistake to impose tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel. And I would have voted for Biden, Kamala, or Biden. I guess I'm gonna I hope I don't have to propose so many times, as the legend goes that Joe Biden proposed several times until he got a yes from Jill. But I already proposed 2 times, and guess I'm gonna have to maybe propose a 3rd time, and hope that was gonna be it. That's what it is, and that's how we're gonna get doing, man, with that, and gonna get that label to get it on the go, and gotta get it on the go, and they gotta get some of that good loving, man. Look at that beauty there. See, that's a beauty, That's a beauty which we gotta make on that love right there. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. And we gotta get those beautiful buildings, and spotted. It's a special spot the flag. There, I see it. I'm gonna show mine. Mine, I always have it on me 24/7, even when I sleep, So that's the rock and roll. So back to what I was saying. Of course, it's have been able to challenge Donald Trump. But here on Ramsey and Monroe's. My anonymous friend and me could split one of these houses, 50-50, half. I'll be so close to the mountain, but preferably by the river. By the river. My anonymous friend prefers by the river, and any place on this island would be nice. I wouldn't mind anywhere on the island, but preferably NDG, Outremont, Westmount, or Lachine, or Beaconsfield, and as long as it is on the island, I really don't mind. It's a big island metropolis, 2nd most populated city, 2.5 million people, 4.5 when we had the North Shore and the South Shore. And of course, we're gonna get that drills and gonna get those. Beauty was the first for until 2007 or 2010. Toronto took over in the 21st century. Even in the 21st century, Montreal was the most populated for a few years. And then Toronto took over as the most populated. That's what it is, and that's what they got, and that's how we're gonna go drilling with that, So, Donald Trump, fight me on the Canadian-US border. Let's build a 4. I will to build my brothers and sisters in the construction industries. I'm gonna credit some kisses, some feet washings, some rock and roll to build it. on the Canadian-US border. Let's build the North American Imperial People's Coliseum, the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, the North American People's Coliseum on the Canadian-US border. North American People's Imperial Coliseum, aka the sports complex, to be 11 times bigger than the Caesar Superdome. The Caesar Superdome. Caesar Superdome is now the name of this current Louisiana. It used to be known as the Louisiana Dome Arena. After it changed name to Mercedes-Benz, and now it's known as the Caesar Superdome, where my 49ers lost to the Ravens in Super Bowl 44, which has several nicknames. One of the names is Blackout Ball, aka Bro Ball, aka Harbor Ball. It's in my top 5 Super Bowls, even if my Niners, because I'm a Niner 49er. Please give some charity. Owners and multi-millionaire athletes, give some free tickets to the public workers, those picking up the garbage, blah blah blah, nurses, firefighters with it, and reduce the cost of the tickets, blah blah blah, by 44.9%. So that's how we're gonna go drill, and that's how we're gonna go drilling, man. And that's something which we have to be doing and mindful of here on the Ramsey. The Ramsey. The Ramsey. That's how we're gonna get building, and of course, let's build a 4 on the Canadian-US border, the biggest ever sports arena, to be 11 times bigger than the Caesar Superdome, where me and Donald Trump are gonna fight as the inauguration match. Me and Donald Trump are gonna inaugurate Inauguration Day soon to come, and if we can, I guess, fight, and then we can start building it. And I also will to build the Forgotten Goddess Temple, GODDSS. I goddess has created my surviving being depressed and suicidal, my surviving COVID, my surviving many things in my life, you know. Credited to the goddess, GODDSS. And of course, I will to build a pyramid, scarlet. Crimson and scarlet are shades of red, and which is gonna be the house of the dragon. I changed my name just like the Louisiana Superdome did, where my 49ers lost to the Ravens in the Harbor Ball, aka Blackout Ball, aka Bro Ball. And, just have to officially pay the money to change my name, but money at the moment I don't have. I'm financially stressed, but hey, July 1st paid my rent, so I gotta be grateful that I got that cheese, and I split a little bit. I checked on the budget, and I could afford the most affordable wine, so I got a wine and cheese for Canada Day, and the cheese was on special. It was reduced by $3 from $7.99 to $5. So I was like, wow, I gotta take it. Gonna split half, 50-50 with my anonymous friend, and have some wine and cheese, you know. Watch a movie when I get back, some Canadian movie, and that's how we're gonna drill it with, and we're gonna get that rock and rolling, and build also the Rainbow People's Palace for my fellow neurodivergent and LGBTQ community, and neurodivergent and LGBTQ community. So help build the 4. Gonna credit construction workers some kisses, some massages, because, you know, takes that brain and that muscle, and takes that sweat, you know. Takes some sweat to build it, and takes some sweat to do it, and takes some sweat to apply. And look at that beautiful building there. That's a beautiful building which we gotta drill with it, and that's what we gotta drill with that, and that's what we gotta do on the consequential things of which we are the appellations of the beautiful architecture here of Montreal, which we gotta be admiring sometimes. And we got a lot of things which we gotta admire, you know, the beautiful architecture. My cousin doing the jogging, my cousins and great family here in Quebec and across Canada, which I consider family ever since I crossed coast to coast, ocean to ocean in 2017. And you know, I got financial stress, but I got a lot of things to be grateful for, and here I am, man, grateful. Financially stressed on this first of July, but paid the electricity bill. So I don't have to worry for July, the electricity bill. I don't have to worry about the rent, and just gonna keep applying, doing what I do, and You know, Asperger's, I can't. There's no medication for Asperger's. It's a lifelong condition. It's just managing my characteristics, because they're not symptoms. Please don't say symptoms and don't use symptoms. They're traits and characteristics. It's not an illness, you know, that you can treat. And we have our strengths. When it comes to geopolitics, that's my kingdom, my domain, and being an independent geopolitical theory, clandestine theorist, and strategies. My strategies, of course, are for the North American Collective, and that's what it is with that. And gonna have to check here for the cars come, and that's what it is for the go, and so I gotta get drilling with that, you know. That's what it is with the life, man, and we gotta get it on the beautiful public workers, you know, public workers here. Oh, they opened the gates. Oh, that's for sale there. I wish I could give my anonymous friend something for sale. Give my anonymous friend right by the mountain here. Look at the downtown core area. Isn't that beautiful? That's beautiful with that. And good job, construction workers. Got a salute. You know, we got the metropolises of the 6310 provinces, 50 states, 3 territories. And here's the mountain, my second home, the entrance. See how it goes down, down, down? So there it keeps going down. So now we're on the mountain, and now we're going to ascend even more on the mountain. Mount Royal, the three-peak mountain right between the east and the west. Mount Royal. West Mount, Outremont, Mount Royal proper are the 3 peaks of the mountain. So we're going to enter by the side there, and that's just how we're going to drill it, by the sides. And we're going to be admiring a little bit of the downtown, and just going to go by the sides, by the top, and see a little bit of clouds coming in. And we gotta discuss the DRT and then switch to that French a little bit, because we made the great linguistic compromise here, French Canadians. Myself a Quebecer, Canadian, North American Quebecer. We love our French, and that's we get picky a bit on. And we made it so far to make this great linguistic compromise, what I call as a philosopher, the great linguistic compromise of the French language. And that's what we got, you know. So that's what we got to get doing on that, and that's what we got to get doing on the XYZ. And here we are, embellishment for the love, you know. Look at those red, man. Those are beautiful. Aren't those just beautiful? So big and thick, and the thickness of them, you know, is something which we have to be doing on the left, and got to get it on the left and on the right, and on the Z and on the XYZ, and on the doing on the XYZ and doing on the left. And I prefer 156, 156, 156, 156. So anyways, the DRT gonna express it now. The DRT, super important. I discussed the DRT because it's of course special, and it is what can save us from the current financial, economic, commercial problems of which the majority of the population, the majority of the population we involve ourselves in being in debt, myself included, you know, being in debt, you know, I'm in debt, and that's what it is with that, and that's what it is, man, and that's what we gotta get doing for the DRT, the debt refusion theory, you know, the DRT, that's what it goes, man, that's what they gotta get doing with that, you know. That's why we gotta get on that drill side. So the DRT, debt refusion theory. Salute the nurses, doctors, firefighters, plumbers, electricians, bakers, butchers, nurses, firefighters. And again, the DRT is part of the strategy, along with the new 911 Dragon Army Total S, Total Security, Total Service, Total Defense strategy. The bipolar geopolitical strategy for 21st century geopolitical dominance by fusing Canada and the United States. So the DRT is a part of a strategy which has to be implemented via a public-private partnership, which has to be implemented via a public-private partnership. That's what it has to be implemented via a public and the private partnership. The DRT, that is. We have to implement the DRT. It is super important that we start implementing it ASAP, because there's no other solution than the DRT theory. So you can argue all you want, but fundamentally the DRT is the solution. The aforementioned solution. Look at the beautiful clouds. Is the solution, brothers and sisters. There's no other solution. I'm gonna enter by that side. So it's part of a strategy also, because my bipolar, not to be confused with a psychiatric psychological condition, my bipolar strategy, or the bipolar geopolitical strategy for 21st century dominance by fusing Canada and the United States via the DRT theory. So it can be formulated a title such as I just said. So the DRT theory is part of that bipolar strategy for 21st century geopolitical dominance by Canada and the United States. By Canada and the United States. By Canada and the United States. Here there's branches falling, so you gotta be careful sometimes. When you come, just be aware, See all these branches? So if you hear cracking, if it's windy, be double prudent. Now you're in the wilderness, My mistress, the forest on the mountain. My mistress, the forest on the mountain. And the rocks, mountain, my doctor. My second home here, Mount Royal. So the DRT integrates monetary integration theory, and again, along with the CIT, citizen integration theory, DFT, democratic fusion theory, and the North American New and Dragon 911 protocols for total security, total service, total defense, and the total mobile defense theory, which we're going to implement by having Operation Northern Scorpion. Operation Northern Scorpion. That's what we're gonna get doing with that. That's what we gotta get drilling. So that's something which we fundamentally have to do ASAP. And again, why do I say that we have to? Because we are in a very precarious financial situation and position, both the individual citizens, the majority, and this applies binationally for both Canada and the United States. So happy Canada Day. The DRT plus the trillions of kisses, which I got from the goddess Judy DSS kisses and the Rock&Roll. That's what I put on the table on this Canada Day. So listen three times carefully to this. So we are in a very financially stressful position. The majority of the population has hit in the record credit card debt and record debt. See, that's the favorite skyscraper there, the pyramid. That's the pyramid, and you can see part of the bridge there. Bridge builders, we rock and roll. We're gonna rebuild our bridges, our infrastructure. Mass finance, the building of the 44 tunnels by implementing my DRT theory. That's my favorite skyscraper with the pyramid there. So we're gonna build the House of the Dragon Pyramid and the North American People's Imperial Coliseum with it. So the DRT we have to implement, because the majority of the population is now living in paycheck to paycheck, and of course in a very precarious financial situation, 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 in a very precarious financial situation. Hey, look at that. Never seen anything like that before. Just like the yesterday. Never seen so many fireflies. Wow. White and black with like 4. Oh my goodness. Never seen this Mother Nature, greatest artist and scientist. Maybe is this a new creation, a new life form that I'm discovering? See? Look. Look at that. Never seen anything like this. With 4 wings like that. 4 wings. It inspired me now. Well, we're gonna build Canada United States for the Dragon Army. For mass helicopter, we're gonna call them the black whites or the whites blacks. Wow, look how it's moving. See? Guess it's hot. And we're gonna build it like this, and inspired me to build 300 helicopters for the Dragon Army. Let's go. Public-private partnership. What a beauty. What a beautiful creature. She has like 4 wings, and it's, you can see it blurred a bit, but it looks like it's breathing, you know. Now I'm gonna chase it. And it looks like it has a pattern. It's, instead of going away, it looks like it's looking to stay on the rocks or on the ground for some reason. See, it's not flying. Let's see if the pattern follows. Yeah, see, it's not flying. It's not going either to the side there, and it's not going to the side there. See, so it has options. Why isn't it going that way or that way? I'm just thinking maybe for some reason. See, it's still gonna go on the rocks. See the pattern? It's not going east or west. It's either going, it's following the trail. Oh, now it's gone. So that pattern ended. I wasn't gonna hurt it, of course. I was just a curious, because I never seen anything like that. I never seen anything like that before, to be honest. So wow, like white and black, and had like 4 wings, and the wings were just very special. I can't classify it as a butterfly unless it's some new mutation, just like Aspies. We have these brain mutations, and there's a documentary by ABC which makes the statement that actually Asperger's syndrome, it's not a mental illness. Supposedly it's even a step towards an evolutionary process. An evolutionary process, a step towards an evolutionary process. I don't know about that. I have to watch the documentary again. I do know the DRT theory. I do know geopolitics, especially the 20th century, but on a daily basis, as I am a great independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, and that's what I do. Geopolitics 24/7. And so we're gonna have to be mindful of that, and of course we're gonna have to implement the DRT, since the fact that we are overly in debt. There's record-breaking credit card debt like never before, the majority of the population. And the double problem is not just the record credit card debt, but the credit card debt coupled with of course the other things which we have, so we have to getting on the go. So it's something which we have to implement, whatever the case may be. So the DRT, the debt refusion theory, is something which we have to be doing, So the DRT, we have to implement it ASAP. It's of course a strategy for the 21st century strategy, which we gotta implement for the bipolar geopolitical strategy, which we have to be implementing it. So that's what we're gonna get doing. So yours truly, here it is. And again, keep in mind that it integrates monetary integration theory. And of course, monetary integration theory is the financial theory which was implemented in the European Union by their creation of the ECB, the European Central Bank, and of course the creation of the euro. So yours truly, my debt refusion theory also comprises integrally in it that financial theory which the Europeans, they implemented in the 90s. The Germans, they destroyed their national central banks. The Italians, they destroyed their national central banks. The French, many other countries, destroy their national central banks. So keep that in mind. Focus on that. Just focus on that. So also know that the public debt, also the interest paid on the public debt due to COVID, which I had, for me COVID was like death, pestilence and disease. I thought I was gonna die between February 20 and March 2020, and it was like death, pestilence and disease. It was really like death, pestilence and disease. It was really like death, pestilence and disease. I know it sounds like a hardcore rock and roll song, and that's what it feels like, and that's what it is for that, and that's why we're gonna get drilling on that to get it on the go, you know. So basically that's what we're gonna get doing. Implement the DRT theory. The DRT theory. We're gonna have to implement the DRT, the debt refusion theory. We're gonna have to. The DRT, the debt refusion theory. We're gonna have to. We have no choice. We have public debt. Because I'm gonna have to ask Mr. Carney, Uncle Carney, what are we gonna cut in the budget? What are we gonna cut in the budget? What are we gonna cut? What are we gonna reduce? Which spending? We have to cut and reduce the spending. There's no way out of this situation but by cutting the spending, right? So that has to be concluded, because the interest on the public debt has also increased, right? While the GDP, there has been no great FDI, foreign direct investment, or that great development internally for us to not have to cut in the public. And you know, what are we gonna cut, Mr. Carney? RCMP, police, prisons, the services in the public. Which services in the public? Already we see cuts in the private, and the public has to follow, because both in the private and the public, the majority, there's overly stress indebtedness, and not only the Canadians and my brothers and sisters in the USA as well, record-breaking credit card debt. But the problem is, a double problem adds to the problematic financial dimension. The prices keep increasing. Just me, I notice now, like I couldn't believe it, you know. I couldn't believe it. There we go. I couldn't believe it. There we go, you know. That is what it is with that. I couldn't believe it. There we go, you know. So that it is what it XYZ, and we gotta get it on the love side. So that's what it is, and that's what we're gonna get doing, you know. Something which we have to be doing on that, and that's why we have to be drilling, and we have to be comporting, and of course we have to be noticing that of course the comportment is not something which is necessarily based on the emotional aspects of life, but it's a purely more mathematical, financial composition, or a strictly logical mathematical composition. And I have emotions, I have feelings, I suffered, I struggled, I was depressed, suicidal, but these are just mathematical principles here which have to follow their course, you know. So we're gonna have to cut, and what are we gonna cut? Already there's been layoffs, and the problem again is not just that there's high in debt and credit card, but the prices of food, just the milk has increased again. Just last time I bought milk, it was, I don't remember when, I think last year for my birthday. And of course, and another thing is of course the prices, even the prices of the bus. The bus of course has increased July 1st by 4.5%. By 4.5%. 4.5%. Yes. That's it. So that's what we're gonna get doing. But the problem is, the other problem is, of course, is fundamentally which we're gonna have to be doing, you know, which we're gonna have to be doing on that. So it's something which we have to compose and comprise of the things which we have, and we gotta get it on the go. So that is just the comportment which we have to do. And again, it's just the DRT has to be implemented, or something similar to my DRT theory. So that's just the way things are gonna have to go with. We're gonna have to. It's an emergency. It's an emergency. The stock market crash can happen tomorrow on the 2nd, on the 3rd, 4th of July. Did the big, beautiful bill pass? I have to check to inspect it. We can't just give tax. My DRT theory for Canada, United States, binationally half is the best theory to move ahead. It will take a public-private partnership, but we have to do it. Again, with the prices have increased. Even it was $7 the meal, the lunch. You get a few fries, usually. You get some pieces of chicken. You get a sauce with it and pieces of chicken, and it was pretty good. Before it was $5. It went to 7. Then supposedly it went to 8. I don't know when it went to 8 because I guess I didn't buy it since last year. Last time I bought it was last year, so it must have gone up like 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago to 8, and now maybe in the past weeks, like the worker mentioned, it finally went to 9. And I said, oh, you still get the same? He said, yeah, it hasn't changed. It's the same format. It's just the price went up. I said, oh my goodness, for 9 to 9. It used to be 5, 3.5 years ago. Then it went to 7, $2, which is almost 30%, and now to 9. So that's almost double the price. Because 9 minus 5, the initial price during COVID and 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago, you used to be able still to get it for 4 or 5. That's almost double. That's almost double. So the DRT, I'm going to explain it now. The DRT, debt refusion tree. And again, we have to because prices keep increasing. The DRT integrates monetary integration tree. We're going to take all the public and the private debt. All the public and the private debt. My $10,000, your $10,000. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean. All that debt, we're going to convert it into US dollars. All that debt converted into US dollars, the DRT theory, the debt refusion theory, has to be implemented binationally for the bipolar strategy. So we're going to take all the public-private debt, we're going to add it all together, convert all our Canadian public-private debt into US dollars, add it with the US public-private debt and the money in circulation, and create a new central bank. Canada, United States joined, and I guess Mexico, Haiti, other countries, Dominican Republic can join, because my idea is for Haiti best, the AAT, to my brothers and sisters, Haitians, and of course we will to integrate, because Haiti and Cuba is part of North America, Haiti and Cuba is part of North America. So I have a project called, of course, to make Haiti or Jamaica special economic zones, integrated North American plateau, North American Civilisation Collective, and of course the AAT, to this is designated as an athletic, artistic tourism, of course, athletic, artistic, and tourism zone, the AAT special zone. I'm not going to go deviate into that, especially, of course, if I deviate into that, it's going to be a non-stop around that project, which I started writing about 6 years ago or so, 7 maybe, continuing on and on during COVID. So we're going to take all the public-private debt, Canada coast to coast. We're going to add it with the public-private debt of the United States. All that money is going to create the new money supply for a new central bank, whatever they call the new central bank. We're going to create a new currency based on the value of the US dollar, the UE. U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. UE. U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. The UE. U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. The UE. U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. The universal exchange, put an interest rate level of 10%. It's not going to be able to be more than 10%. It can be below 10%, but not more. And with that money, anybody want to finance, I go up and down these stairs 300 times for $300 for your cats, for your pets, for your fellow Aspies, for whoever you want, to dedicate to whoever you want, for an industry, the firefighters, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, and maybe not the porn industry, because I don't object morally to pornography. I just stopped more than, I think it's going to be 4 years soon. I think it's going to be 4 years soon. 4 years. I know more than 3.5 years, but I got to double check because I marked it on some of my agenda. Maybe 4 years since I last watched pornography. And interesting that some corn stars popped in the interview, but I didn't really click because I'm not interested. But I am for legalizing it's sex work, I guess. But I guess give some charity, help support building the Forgotten Goddess temple. The owner specifically, because I don't know who owns the porn industry. Who owns the porn industry? Who owns the porn industry? Who's are the major shareholders? Who? Where they at? Dragon Army at? Where they at? Billionaires? Just say it. I'm selfish. I don't want to give to charity. Fuck off. That's it. I come to the mountain and sing for the butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, firefighters, plumbers, electricians, the welders. That's what it is, and that's what it is, and that's all we got, Say it, So the DRT has to be implemented. The DRT has to be implemented, and that's how we're gonna get doing with that. That's how we're gonna get doing. Beautiful clouds there. That's how we're gonna get doing on that, and that's what we're gonna get doing for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, and the firefighters, and the plumbers, the electricians, and all those involved in the production, distribution of food, you know. That's how we're gonna get drilling, man. Here's another rock and roll, man. Land of the free, man. Gonna go by the side, and that's how we're gonna get doing on that drill, and let's go by that, you know. Here we are, gonna let that main out here, you know. Time to let the main out, and here we go, man. Sun, and get some hydration, and get some potion, and say hello to my fellow Canadians from here like that, and show off a little bit of that selfie, and enough of my face again. Here we're gonna go and take all the public-private debt. We're gonna create the UE. We're gonna build the 44 tunnels. We're gonna build a North American implemented integrated dance league. We're gonna create, of course, building 44 tunnels, and we're gonna get doing on that go, and that's how we're gonna get doing for the left, for the right, and for the Z, you know. That's how we're gonna get on that drill, man. And that's how we're gonna get it here for everybody who comes, man, to get it on the go here in the sun, and for the farmers, butchers, bakers, nurses, and doctors, and the firefighters, and that's all we got here. Love your firefighters, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, electricians, plumbers, electricians, and the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, firefighters, the plumbers, truckers on the road, nurses, Hydro-Quebec workers, construction workers who built all this, construction workers on those cranes, I guess, took some blood, sweat, and tears. Thank you, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, firefighters, plumbers, electricians, welders, engineers, welders, those in the daycares changing some diapers across Canada, coast to coast. This great March of the Dragon has been for you, and got a beautiful sun. Gonna sing some of that good rock and roll. You check those hawks. Gonna be watching for, here we have hawks, but sometimes you spot them. You just gotta look up, you know. They get on the hawk. Happy birthday, Canada. 158, 160, 1867, 2025. So it's time for the Republic. It's time for the Republic. Let's go, rock and roll. All right, that's it. So we're gonna get it on that. Oh, spotted the flag, and that's how we go. We're gonna get that drilling, and that's how we're gonna get rock and roll for that, and we're gonna get it on the love, and that's how we're gonna get it here, man. And that's how we're gonna get it, man. For the butchers, bakers, nurses, and doctors, electricians, the firefighters, and all those, of course, involved in the production, distribution of food, and that's how we're gonna get doing on the love, man. Yep, this is the place to be. Second home, Mount Royal. Gonna switch a little bit of that French, and Belvedere Condrenac, and Belvedere Condrenac. That's what it is with that, and that's how we gotta get drilling, man. Butchers, bakers, nurses, and firefighters, electricians, and the plumbers, and the bakers, and all those cooks, Hydro-Quebec workers. Thank you for building dams which are clean, zero pollution emission. And this is Hydro-Quebec here, you know. That's the Hydro-Quebec. Don't touch it, admire it, but just go Hydro-Quebec, go. You know, that's why we got electricity, and we got to embellish, and we got to have on the implementation of the DRT, debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE. And with that, we're going to rebuild the infrastructure, mass finance fitness, mass finance citizens to work out, train, exercise, mass finance citizens, mass finance building the 44 tunnels in case of a thermonuclear war. Mass finance those tunnels which are inspired by the Cheyenne Mountain Complex, and not only the Cheyenne Mountain Complex, but also the Montreal Underground Village. And paradoxically, I'm no fan, no supporter of Hamas, but on the Hamas built tunnels, which of course they were built between 2007 and of course 2000 and I guess since 2023, hundreds of miles, between 350 kilometers and miles, between 350 and 600 kilometers underneath Gaza City and Gaza Strip, the Gaza Strip, right? Not necessarily Gaza City, but all around Rafah and Gaza City and all the cities in the Gaza Strip, right? So inspired by those tunnels, but in the North American Collective and for the North American Collective in order to continue in the civilizational complex in case of a thermonuclear war. So by implementing my DRT theory and the creation of the UE, we're gonna get rid of the border. Get rid of the border that gotta go, and we're gonna mass finance fitness across the 63, 10 provinces, 50 states, 3 territories. As we're gonna fuse in a democratic republic, this will also ensure that the mass financing of fitness and tourism will solidify, establish a strong esprit de corps. We're gonna implement the North American Collective Criminal Rehabilitation Act to build those tunnels. The North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act, to build those tunnels to go and on the go like that. And so we're gonna get drilling on that and gonna get checking on the city, and then we're gonna go right by the entrance. So we're gonna mass finance citizens, we're gonna mass finance fitness, we're gonna mass finance citizens fitness activity, we're gonna mass finance construction more hydroelectric dams, we're gonna build more hydroelectric dams, we're gonna mass finance those, rebuilding the infrastructure of the collective. We're gonna mass finance also the two complementary covenant non-cooperative institutions, the Dragon Army, aka North American Integrated SSD Legion for the security service and defense only and solely for SSD, security service and defense only and solely for SSD, security service and defense, complementary with the Dancing Goddess Army, aka North American Integrated Dance League, the North American Integrated Dance League, the North American Integrated Dance League, North American Integrated Dance League for the environment, environmental protection and action, environmental protection and action, environmental protection and action, right? Environmental protection and action. Both go hand in hand together, and of course education. Because, we got to do mountain cleaning and river cleaning and those things which of course are in the recycling have to go into recycling, and those things which are in the garbage have to go in the garbage. But sometimes those things which have items such as plastic bags and cans and other plastics, other recyclables, are found in the garbage. So we got to do that. We got to do that work with that, and that's how we got to get doing on that. Here we are, another side of the city. So the DRT for the creation of the UE, that's the skyscraper. My favorite skyscraper is that pyramid. So that's a beautiful part of the city. Hakala Montreal. Happy Canada Day for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the firefighters, the plumbers, the electricians, the welders, the truckers on the go, all those involved in the production, distribution of food. Thinking about you all and sending some good loving, some of that good LOVE from the ISP artist, athlete, philosopher, geopolitical, theoretical analyst, and theorist, androgynous, pansexual, mystic, and geopolitical theoretical analyst and strategist. And the DRT, we got to implement the debt fusion theory for the creation of the UE, the Universal Exchange. We're going to rebuild the infrastructure by the DRT, and we're going to be implementing the bipolar strategy, not to be confused as in the psychological sense, but the bipolar meaning the fusion of Canada by the debt fusion theory. We're going to create the UE, and we're going to of course mass finance tourism, mass finance the building of those 44, the rehabilitation of the criminal population, and of course we're going to also do the rock and roll, and we're gonna finance fitness. So we're gonna finance fitness, we're gonna finance a lot of good things, which by the DRT theory and the creation of the UE, we will be able to mass finance these things and build the infrastructure, mass build the roads, the aqueducts, the sewers. So we're going to put that defense and apply for SSD, security, service, and defense, and implement the strategy, the bipolar strategy for the North American collectives. Total 21st century geopolitical dominion for justice, liberty, progress, freedom, and in a democratic republican manner, the third party to unite Canada, United States. Once we're going to fuse thereof, the UE, Universal Exchange Unit. It takes a public-private partnership. It takes my brother Bill Gates. It takes banks, BlackRock, and Blackstone are two different financial institutions. We're gonna have to implement them, and we're gonna have to implement on that, and that's how we go, and that's how we're gonna get drilling with that, man. So that's what we're gonna have to be doing, the implementation thereof, of the DRT, the debt row fusion theory, for the creation of the UE, the universal exchange. And we gotta, we must, we have to, we gotta do it, because we are on the point of financial economic collapse, you know. That's what we gotta do, and that's how we gotta implement, you know, the DRT theory, the debt row fusion theory, for the creation of the UE, the universal exchange in it. The UE, the universal exchange in it. That's what it is with that, and we gotta get doing on that drill, man. Always for the butchers and the bakers, the nurses and the doctors and the firefighters and all those involved in the production, distribution of food. Gotta salute, and the debt refusion team once again. Take all the public-private debt of Canada, my 10,000 to the RBC included. We're gonna add it up, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Add it up, add it with the United States. Add it with the United States dollar. The United States public-private debt. We're gonna create the UE, universal exchange, the UE. And a new central bank. This new central bank will operate and put into circulation in our economy the UE, which is going to have the value of the US dollar, but we're going to plateau all interest charges after that, 10%. It could be less than 10% on all loans thereafter, but not more than 10%. So this is going to propel our bipolar strategy. We're going to create a common passport, and we also have to do create census. Census. We have to do a great census, a North American census, a census of the population, to see who can serve in the Dragon Army, who can serve in building those 44 tunnels, and can give some amnesty to migrants, undocumented migrants, and etc., illegal aliens, undocumented migrants and workers, and give some amnesty. Of course, have to discern, and if you have 44 prior criminal convictions in the past 3.5 years, well, that's a bit problematic, you know. If you have several things which can be like give an amnesty for, such as, you know, shoplifting or petty crime or whatever the case may be. So I have to discern in terms of justice, but with some conditions, you know. So that's what we need to do. Need to build and get that coast to coast, ocean to ocean, and our resources and your population, we're gonna become one. We're gonna fuse, and it's going to be a perpetual union, but there's going to be new articles of federation. We're going to have a new constitution and new articles of constitution, and we're going to explore ways to be inspired that a president can serve maybe 3 6-year terms maximum, 3 6 years. Or I'm inspired by the sexennial. Actually, in Mexico, they can only serve once, 1 6, not 3. Not 6, but only once. It's called the sexennial. So the president of Mexico only serves 1 6-year terms. So maybe we can make a compromise. 1 7-year term. And that's it, that's all. Or 2 7-year terms. Or 1 7-year term. With a revision after 42 months. So I'm calling for the septennium, for the bipolar North fusion of Canada and the United States via the DRT. And this DRT can be expanded across the other countries of North America, which include Mexico. Some include Guatemala, Costa Rica, Panama, El Salvador. Some include Honduras. I don't mind that, but I go up to Mexico usually, but I don't mind it going up to the other small countries to be included in North America. But us Canadians, the North with the South, United States, right? Because we're North and the United States. So it's a North and South really fusion. Thereafter, just like there was a North and South Civil War. And in a past life, I served in 2 different wars in the United States. One of it was the Civil War. There were 2 different wars about 156 years apart. And post 70-76, once I was born a woman in the USA, twice I was born a man. So here I am, and Quebecois here in between 1688 and 1735, before the Quebecois and Quebec is known as today. Of course, that was 300 years ago. Many past lives, many incarnations. Pledge your allegiance, legions to our family. That's how we're gonna roll, and here we can build the pyramid. Let's call it House of the Dragon here. Forgot the Goddess Temple on the Canadian-US border, the North American Imperial People's Coliseum. I see somebody drop some rocks. These seem like new rocks. Perfect for training, not for today because I gotta go back to my headquarters, but maybe we'll come tomorrow and do some of those lifting. Do some lifting there, and it's time to switch for that French because we're liable Privee, so we gotta get that drill and heading to my headquarters now. It's gonna be 5 hours. Yesterday I did 5 hours marching workout. I bust a dance move with my teeth, with my hands, with my feet, with my body, with my mind. Do that choreography, you know, in the nature here with the birds. And the DRT has to be implemented, that refusion theory. We're gonna propel ourselves for a bipolar new geopolitical order because we can see the solidification of the Russia-China alliance. Russia-China alliance, Sino-Russian alliance, which has solidified economically, financially in the past 3.5 years, especially during COVID. So we're gonna create this new bipolar, new world order by, of course, fusing Canada and the United States because we got a common destiny, common history, common destiny, and we are a new civilizational complex. Here we're new, you know, we're new and the newest from what we discover called the New World, you know. So, and all who come to join us, you know, we're not divorced from Western civilization, but we are distinct. So we're not divorced from Western civilization, but we are distinct. Not divorced, but distinct from Western civilization. Those two things complement each other, and you have to be aware when I discuss that theory. That's a special theory, philosophy actually, that we, the North American civilizational complex, we're not divorced from Western civilization totally. We might be by the Empire, the Dragon, if they so will, but are be distinct. But the marriage we're gonna have, marrying Canada and United States, great marriage together, and all our allies in Europe, whoever wants to join us, you know, if they wanna join us, we're gonna build that golden dome. We're gonna put a Hawk, H-A-W-K in it, golden Hawk dome. And on the ground, we're gonna have Operation Northern Scorpio based on my total mobile defense theory. When I cannot discuss too much the total mobile defense theory, it is a theoretical strategy, geopolitical, military that needs to be discussed with David McGuinty, I guess the new defense minister, public security ministers of Canada, all those involved in the police services, security services, and of course, we're involved in the military, the United States, Canada, and the police services, and of course, the cousin big hexet, and of course national security intelligence director, the not Pam Bondi, who launched the Operation Shadow of the Beast, but not Operation Shadow of the Beast, but Tulsi Gabbard. So pledge your allegiance, legions. We're gonna switch to that French because we're in La Belle Province in a bit. Grateful, thankful, my rent's paid, electricity bills paid, got that food, and woo, I'm gonna run out of coffee. Still got one coffee, which is decaf, so I have to fish for the market. Checking the market is the greatest one that I could buy, which I think is the one that they had to lower it because I guess the people weren't buying it because it went up twice by $5 in just 3 years, and that was kind of crazy when I saw that from $6.99 3 years ago. I got it from 3.5 years ago. I got it for $6.99. It went up to $11.99 and finally to $16.99. So twice in just 2 years, it increased by $5. And it was 920 grams. So like almost like 2 pounds, like more than 2 pounds. Yeah, like 2 pounds of coffee. But it was a no name brand, so nobody's sponsoring me. I get no corporate sponsorship, but we're gonna get that public-private partnership. The debt refusion theory has to be implemented. All the debt we're gonna take in together, convert it into US dollars, all Canadian debt, including my $10,000 to the RBC. We're gonna create the UE. We're gonna mass finance tourism. mass finance the security service and defense, and we're gonna mass finance, of course, the building of that Imperial massive structure to have sports in perpetuities, where for the firefighters, the butchers, for the police officers, and men and women in uniform, and universities and colleges, and we're gonna have sports 24/7 there for the truckers to go and go have a little bit of arch and have discounts and have special industries and train conductors, and it's gonna be a massive, massive, massive building, the biggest ever built sports facility for all sorts of different sports. We're going to build on the Canadian-US border, where the NHL, NFL, NBA, and MLB will also contribute. Let's get some 5%, 2% from the millionaires, billionaires. Don't be so selfish. From the associations, and there's some time to build, and time to build it. And the Dragon Army is going to have my workout, the General War Integrated Total Body Training System, of which myself have performed more than 372 sessions, and you can see hundreds of my workout training program system, of which have, of course, myself have created in the past, which you can see online on the online, the building thereof of my workout, which I created when I predicted what's happening now. I have to repeat, because back in 2019, October, November, I predicted the current international conflagration that's happening on the horizon. I predicted it, and I created the workout training program system to go hand in hand with such a scenario, as we have today. As the scenario as we have today, a World War III type of scenario. And I created the General War Integrated Total Body Training System, also known as the Dragon Army workout, or the 300 workout, of which I have to do some this summer. I gotta do some shirtless, maybe in the sun in the coming days, weeks, months ahead. Guess, this summer lasts until September, so I got 3 months, July, August, September 20th, so yeah, we got some time. And now we need to get that French, because we made it for the French language, and I'm a Quebecer, Canadian, North American, and then we're gonna go get that drill for the left and for the right, and for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the electricians, and those firefighters, and all those involved now. Happy Canada Day, happy Canada Day, happy Canada Day. We're gonna play that bilingual, and I learned a little bit of that Spanish in my underground room of some temples. It's French, also English, French, Spanish. Grateful, thankful, pledge your allegiance to our family. Rock&Roll for French now, because we're in la belle province. Et bienvenue à Québécois et Québécoises, on est sur le Mont-Royal. C'est la fête du Canada. On fête les deux. Moi-même, je fête bien sûr les deux. Même si je chante la chanson Le roi est absent, c'est le temps pour la République. Parlez-moi de l'amour, Québécois et Québécoises du Canada, qu'on fait un effort. Bilingue comme Céline. Je suis bilingue, pas dingue. Dingue, ça baigne, pas un baigne. Faites attention, vous voyez ça là. Ça, c'est un arbre, ça avait de tomber s'il y a du vent. Ça se tient sur rien, ça en haut, vous voyez? Ça, là, c'est une branche qui est tombée d'en haut, puis ça s'est ramassé là. Fait que ça, je vous avertis dans les vidéos, vous voyez souvent dans mes vidéos depuis des années, mais surtout depuis l'année passée, puis il y a 2 ans, de plus en plus, les arbres, il y a plus de branches qui tombent, puis surtout depuis comme 5 ans, des fois, il y a bien des tonnerres, puis des tempêtes puissantes, puis des fois, tu sais, les arbres sont pas si en santé. Là, c'est de mieux en mieux, je pense que la santé augmente, parce que... Et voilà. La poésie, là, le tonnerre. Ah, le tonnerre, il est là. Les poèmes, il y a de la poésie, rock'n'roll ici sur la montagne. De la montagne, vous pouvez voir Québécois et Québécoises. Ah, une question. C'est beau, non? C'est bon, dans le loin que je vois la montagne. Ma maîtresse, mon docteur. Et les roches de la montagne, Québécois et Québécoises, c'est la fête du Canada. Je dois commencer avec la gratitude. Je suis déjà en rouge, dans le rouge à la banque, mais je vais pouvoir... j'ai déjà payé mon loyer, je l'ai déjà payé aujourd'hui. J'ai payé mon loyer, on est le 1er juillet aujourd'hui, j'ai payé mon loyer, j'ai payé déjà l'Hydro-Québec. J'avais le temps jusqu'au 3 juillet, mais j'ai décidé de le payer à l'avance, de 4-5 jours d'avance. Fait que j'ai payé l'Hydro-Québec. J'ai payé l'Hydro-Québec. Fait que je vous encourage à faire l'entraînement physique, Québécois et Québécoises. Puis c'est le 1er juillet, donc c'est l'été, bien sûr, pour le faire. Dans un mot, pour le faire de cette affaire de la fête du Canada. Puis on soit, bien sûr, dans une affaire de, bien sûr, avoir de l'affaire de conséquences vis-à-vis de la géopolitique, la stratégie de la géopolitique, hein, on voit se dérouler dans le monde. Puis ce qui nous intéresse, bien sûr, c'est le collectif de l'Amérique du Nord en termes de géopolitique. Premièrement, principalement, c'est d'avoir des bonnes relations le plus possible avec les États-Unis. C'est principalement et primordialement, vous savez, si vous ne savez pas, que moi j'ai l'Asperger's, donc j'ai une condition de neurodivergence qui s'appelle l'Asperger's. Et dû à cette condition de neurodivergence qui n'est pas une maladie mentale, mais mon intérêt spéciaux, ou je connais comme obsessif, c'est la géopolitique, parallèlement à l'entraînement physique. Le sport que je préfère, c'est la danse, et le rock&roll, c'est ma trinité. Qu'est-ce que c'est l'Asperger's? C'est une condition de neurodivergence, ça fait que on a, nous les aspis, des petites mutations dans le cerveau, fait que dans cette communication, on a de la misère, de la compréhension sociale. Il y a des choses que nous, on voit le monde différemment. Fait il y a certaines choses que on doit nous dire directement certaines choses, tu sais, parce qu'on a de la misère à comprendre les normes de la société d'habitude. Puis c'est une petite communauté, hein, il n'y a pas bien des Asperger's dans le monde, c'est moins d'1%. Moins de la moitié d'un pourcentage, j'ai des belles fleurs jaunes, hein. Jaune. C'est moins d'1%, moins de la moitié d'un pourcentage, c'est 0,44%, moins de 0,44%, c'est pas beaucoup, tu sais. C'est quand même une petite minorité qui soit dans le neurodivergents comme moi-même, bien sûr, qui sont de cette partie. Puis ici, là, faites attention si vous venez, hein, si vous passez ici, faites attention, là, parce que des fois, ça glisse. Hein, parce que si vous voyez, c'est que ça descend en pente comme ça. Fait que ça, j'avertis toujours les gens, quand vous venez ici, faites attention parce que ça glisse ici à cause de la boue. Là. Fait que juste prendre un petit soin extra pour pencher vos genoux. Puis bien sûr, si vous connaissez le chemin, ça ne me dérange pas. Là, mais si vous ne connaissez pas le chemin, je vous encourage de rester où que la plupart des gens restent dans le bout d'y aller dans le bout de là-bas, la plupart des gens peuvent aller en sécurité pour s'en aller de l'affaire du feu, bien sûr, pour l'affaire du transit dans les affaires de la spéciaux, d'avoir de la sécurité et la prudence ici pour les faire, bien sûr, dans un point de vue de ne pas être trop engendré, puis ne pas s'enfeuiller sur les jambes pour en tomber jusqu'en arrière du ciel, mais c'est quelque chose que vous devrez faire ici, juste penser vos genoux, puis les voir, bien sûr que ça fait des choses que je dois faire de la même manière, qui sont bien sûr des affaires pour les faire. Avertir, pour les avertir, pour leur dire, puis c'est pas mal du rock&roll là-dessus, mais c'est juste faites attention aussi parce qu'il y a des branches qui tombent, comme vous voyez, là, la preuve, là. Tu sais, ça c'est des branches, là, hey, c'est tombé, ça ici, vous voyez, ça tombe d'en haut, ces branches-là, tu sais, ça tombe d'en haut, puis ça peut engendrer, ça je l'ai pitché là-bas, là, mais ça tombe, fait que soyez prudent, s'il y a du vent, vous venez qu'il vente, là, si vous entendez le vent qui commence à bouger bien vite, il y a bien du vent, le vent augmente de puissance, là, d'intensité, bien, faites attention parce que vous êtes à risque ici, là. C'est juste ça, vous êtes à risque, tu sais. Il y a un risque additionnel, tu sais. C'est juste ça, dans le fond, that's all. Fait que l'Asperger, c'est une condition de neurodivergence. Ça fait bien sûr que, moi-même, ça fait bien sûr que j'ai de la misère dans certaines choses, comme bien des Aspergers, des Aspi, puis on a de la misère à la compréhension sociale des fois, puis des fois on a certaines caractéristiques, parce que je n'utilise pas personnellement le mot symptôme, parce que des symptômes, c'est plutôt pour quelqu'un qui a une maladie, mais l'Asperger, c'est pas une maladie, c'est juste une condition de neurodivergence, c'est juste qu'à cause de ces mutations du cerveau au niveau microscopique, c'est sûr que c'est pas visible de l'extérieur, mais c'est bien sûr des manifestations externes, comme mettons des caractéristiques un peu étranges, bizarres, quelles conséquences que je vais répéter 2-3 fois la même chose, ou c'est une caractéristique de l'Asperger aussi de dire mot à mot, verbatim per verbatim, c'est le latin qui veut dire mot par mot, quelqu'un qui a dit une phrase, puis si vous me communiquez des fois, puis on se parle, je vais peut-être dire cette phrase-là, c'est comme automatique. Tu sais, c'est des caractéristiques bizarres un peu de l'Asperger, c'est pas pour, des fois on peut être direct aussi, puis on peut offenser, mais c'est pas parce qu'on veut offenser, mais c'est parce que c'est la manière qu'on est, tu sais, fait qu'on est différent. Mais le problème majeur, là, chez nous, chez ma communauté, qui est une petite communauté de 0,44%, le problème, c'est 3 problèmes majeurs. Principalement, le problème le plus... c'est les 3 ensemble, là, c'est le manque d'amis, se faire des amis, on a de la misère à cause de cette différence, tu sais, parce qu'on est différent, les choses du social, on a de la misère, tu sais, on a de la misère, tu sais, moi-même, mais sais, je suis bien, j'ai pas de ressentiment négatif, là. J'aime ça voir les gens se faire l'amour, puis se donner des câlins, puis tout ça, puis socialiser, puis se danser, puis tout ça. Même que je chante du rock-and-roll, fait que j'espère que si je chante du bon rock-and-roll, mais que du monde vont danser, puis vont faire de la fête, là. Faites ça pour moi, j'adore ça, là. Mais c'est juste que moi, en tant qu'Asperger, il y a des choses que je vais, je vais devoir, tu sais, dire, ben, tu sais, c'est pas les normes, là. Des fois, il faut faire ça, puis dire des choses comme ça, parce que nous, ça rentre pas vraiment. C'est notre cerveau est à ses mutations, puis c'est le niveau de la connaissance sociale. On peut être quand même nul, tu sais. On a de la misère. C'est comme un monde étrange pour nous. C'est pour ça qu'on doit bâtir toujours des ponts, tu sais. Toujours bâtir des ponts avec les autres. On doit toujours bâtir des ponts avec les autres. Fait que ces ponts-là, des fois, tu sais, ils peuvent être plus solides. Ils peuvent être plus solides. Des fois, ils peuvent être plus gros, plus lents, plus solides. Ça dépend, tu sais. Les ponts, ça varie. Ça dépend de la rivière, ça dépend de qu'est-ce qui traverse le lac, etc., etc. Fait que c'est ça. C'est ça qui est ça avec l'Asperger. C'est juste ça. Mais c'est pas juste, c'est sûr que c'est un peu superficiel mon affaire. Sans juste trop du moins dans l'intellectuel. Fait qu'on manque de connaissances d'intelligence sociale. Des fois, on est bizarre, on peut être bizarre, étrange. Mais on a des forces parallèlement, surtout quand ça vient à nos intérêts spéciaux. Nos intérêts spéciaux. Je veux juste m'étirer un peu ici, hein, parce que si je peux m'étirer un peu avant de sortir, puis après ça, on va discuter de plus de l'Asperger. Fait que c'est pas une maladie mentale, c'est pas une maladie, c'est une condition de neurodivergence. Condition de neurodivergence. C'est cette condition de neurodivergence. Fait qu'on a de la misère dans certaines choses, on a de la misère dans la compréhension sociale. Il faut nous le dire plus directement parce que certaines choses, on ne sait pas, tu sais, si, pour offenser. Puis c'est pas parce qu'on veut offenser, tu sais, parce qu'on dit des choses des fois directement, surtout moi quand ça vient de la géopolitique, ou des choses qui visent la géopolitique, c'est mon intérêt spécial. Et bien sûr, c'est ces intérêts spéciaux que moi-même, je dois le faire dans ce compromis, bien sûr. Et bien sûr, c'est ça l'entente qu'on fait, bien sûr, c'est l'entente, bien sûr, qu'on doit bâtir des ponts. Fait que je fais partie de cette petite communauté de neurodivergents d'Asperger. C'est l'Asperger, l'autisme hautement fonctionnel. Et puis, il n'y a pas bien des Asperger, c'est 0,44%. 0,44, là, c'est même pas 1%, fait que c'est moins que ma communauté LGBTQ, dont je fais partie aussi, la communauté LGBTQ, là, la communauté LGBTQ, bien sûr, j'en fais bien sûr partie de la communauté, je suis androgyne pansexuel, c'est pas quelque chose que je me cache, je suis ouvert depuis bien des années là-dessus, mais c'est des choses que je dois moi-même faire un certain mention qu'il y a plus d'LGBTQ, bien plus de la communauté LGBTQ que... Puis vous voyez, je vais être obsédé ou intense sur les détails sur l'autobus, comme les chiffres qui sont marqués. Des fois, on est concentré avec plusieurs détails. Avec plus de détails, non? Avec plus de détails. Des détails que d'autres citoyens ne sont pas, bien sûr. Si intéressé par, je vais utiliser le mot intéressé, là, parce que c'est un intérêt de certains détails qui sont un peu bizarres, comme le numéro sur le côté de l'autobus, puis qu'est-ce que ça signifie, des choses comme ça, ou des détails un peu en particulier. Fait que c'est des caractéristiques, aussi répéter 2-3 fois la même chose, les coller là, puis être super intense, super dedans, vraiment dedans, intense et concentré quand on travaille, quand on s'engage dans qu'est-ce qu'on appelle comme les intérêts spéciaux. Et ces intérêts spéciaux sont aussi connus comme obsessifs, mais ça ne rend pas justice pour moi de dire à ma communauté Asperger, parce que dire obsessif, non, ça c'est pour quelqu'un qui est neurotypique. Pour vous, vous avez des obsessions. Nous, on a des intérêts spéciaux. Parce que moi, là, quand je fais des analyses et des théories des heures par jour de la géopolitique, et j'ai des heures d'entraînement physique par jour, puis du rock-and-roll entre, pour moi, ça vient naturellement. Vous comprenez? C'est ça, l'Asperger, Puis ils disaient que ben, trop intense, trop obsessif, trop ça. Non, mais moi, j'aime pas la violence, premièrement, j'aime pas la violence. C'est juste que moi, pour dire ces mots-là, obsessif, ou à un autre Asperger's, trop obsessif, tu sais, c'est... Tu peux pas vraiment... on peut pas vraiment utiliser ces mots-là pour un N.A.C.W.P. Parce que ces mots-là, bien sûr, ne rendent pas justice. Faites attention sur la route, amusez-vous, là, faites l'amour, mais soyez prudents sur la route. Tu sais, comme j'ai failli perdre mon arc-en-ciel. Ça, je l'ai acheté à 3$. Puis bien sûr, tous les vêtements que j'ai, mais c'est quand même à la Renaissance, seconde main. Et puis, bien sûr, quand je passe pour la SPVM fondée en 1848 ou 43, 1848 ou 43, ça fait plus que 150 ans. J'ai servi dans la SPVM au début de 1900, en 1904 aussi, mais juste un peu. J'ai pas servi. Bon, moi, c'était pas que la SPVM d'aujourd'hui. C'était quand j'ai rencontré Louis Soeur dans une autre vie. Vous savez que moi, je crois à la réincarnation, mais moi, quand même, j'étais né des fois homme, des fois femme. C'est pour ça, mais je suis androgène, monsieur, madame, aujourd'hui, hein, monsieur, madame. Monsieur, madame, androgène, monsieur, madame, androgène, monsieur, madame. Androgène, monsieur, madame. Hein. Mais je suis un centriste. Mon centrisme est pro-travail, révolution, mais révolutionnaire du point de vue que c'est intégré totalement à ma trinité de théorie que je fais appel depuis un couple d'années, puis aujourd'hui même, pour l'implémentation, parce que je suis un philosophe, un analyste théoricien et stratégiste. Mes stratégies de la géopolitique sont pour ce que j'appelle la stratégie bipolaire, ne pas confondre ma stratégie géopolitique bipolaire avec la psychiatrie, la psychologie bipolaire, mais avec une stratégie de la géopolitique. Fait que quand je dis la stratégie bipolaire pour la domination géopolitique du 21e siècle par la fusion du Canada et des États-Unis via l'implémentation de ma théorie de la refusion de la dette, sachez que c'est pas une question de psychologie ni de psychiatrie dedans, c'est juste des théories de la géopolitique moi-même, c'est ça mon intérêt spécial, aussi connu comme intérêt obsessif, mais comme je vous dis, j'utilise pas ces mots-là parce que ça rend pas vraiment justice, parce que moi je fais partie de cette communauté, puis ça faisait bien des années, comme l'avait dit, que j'ai l'Asperger's, puis à cause de l'Asperger's, je suis différent, fait que cette différence, bien, ça fait que on a certains quand même luttes qu'on a eues nous-mêmes, tu sais, puis ces luttes-là, mais c'est surtout les amis, mais j'ai pas beaucoup d'amis. Ben, je veux pas d'amis vraiment dans le sens superficiel, mais des amis avec bénéfice seulement, s'il vous plaît. Des amis avec bénéfice, puis la chanson Rock&Roll pour l'armée du dragon, le royaume de la déesse du dragon qui danse, que je fais appel pour la fusion du Canada et des États-Unis, puis c'est bien sûr la chanson, mais hein, c'est quoi? C'est la chanson, c'est quoi? C'est la chanson, c'est quoi? La chanson, c'est prêter allégeance, Légion. Hey, la chanson des fleurs jaunes. Hey, puis de lâcher les mains dans les airs. Comme québécois. J'ai juste des bisous, des câlins, puis des chatouilles pour vous donner, la donne. Ça redonne, ça sonne, hey, ça cloche. Cloche, pas besoin de la bénite, juste une bière à place. Ça, je suis bon. La rock'n'roll, je suis bon. Mais d'autres choses, ça vient difficile pour moi, vous comprenez? Puis ça a été difficile pendant des années, juste à accepter que j'ai l'Asperger's, parce que ça faisait bien des gens, bien des citoyens qui me l'avaient dit, qui m'ont diagnostiqué, là, plusieurs personnes. Ils disaient, ben, tu sais qu'Adrien, le dragon maintenant, je suis mort de la COVID en 2020, février, puis entre février 2020 et mars 2020, il y a plus que 5 ans, je suis mort de la COVID. Je vous suggère de, s'il vous plaît, garder les protocoles d'hygiène. Les protocoles d'hygiène, bien sûr. Passer les protocoles d'hygiène dans un sens, bien sûr, pour qu'on fasse de la proposition, bien sûr, pour la faire aujourd'hui, faire de la sentence qu'on aille, puis bien sûr, c'est une sentence, bien sûr, de la proposition, you gotta get it on the go, puis c'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'on aille à faire dans ce monde de où qu'on vit maintenant, c'est d'avoir une prudence, tu sais, d'avoir une prudence de la même affaire, pour d'avoir cette prudence où qu'on fait les choses d'une manière ou d'une autre. Je suis différent, nous, les Asperger's, on est différents, mais moi, je suis quelqu'un qui n'aime pas la violence. Je n'aime pas la violence. Je suis hyper vigilant, mais j'ai vécu moi-même. Je me suis fait attaquer à Montréal, dans le métro de Montréal. J'ai cogné ma tête. J'étais tout ensanglé. J'étais tout ensanglé. J'avais le bras droit, l'épaule droit disloquée, puis il faut que j'aille ramasser les fichiers de les fichiers de l'hôpital général juif où je suis allé, puis ils m'ont mis bien sûr sur des médicaments, puis du coma, mais des médicaments, j'étais dans un coma, tu sais, pendant un couple d'années, correction, pendant un couple de jours, mais je veux dire, cet événement-là, ça fait un couple d'années, tu sais, cet événement-là, ça fait un couple d'années, tu sais, c'est un événement, bien sûr que ça fait un couple d'années depuis, là, mais c'était un couple de jours, j'étais dans un coma, fait que j'ai la misère à me souvenir de ma vie avant ça. Ça, c'est comme peut-être en 2015, 2014. J'habitais bien sûr dans une place où il y avait beaucoup de moisissures. Il y avait beaucoup de moisissures, puis bien sûr comme une petite cellule de prison. Là. C'était comme une petite cellule de prison, quasiment à Côte-de-Neige, pas loin d'ici, un couple de kilomètres par là, à Côte-de-Neige. À Côte-de-Neige, c'est Côte-de-Neige, c'est le quartier, bien sûr, le quartier de Montréal le plus peuplé. Il y a plus de population à Côte-de-Neige que d'autres places. C'est Côte-de-Neige, c'est le quartier le plus peuplé qui existe à Montréal. Montréal, bien sûr, c'est 2,5 millions, tu sais. Avec le sud puis le nord, c'est 4,5 millions. 4,5 millions. Fait qu'ici, j'adore ça venir, puis j'adore ça, bien sûr, me faire la balance ici. Puis ça, c'est un beau parc. Juste aller m'hydrater en dedans. Bon, c'est ça qui est l'Asperger's, c'est ça que je vis avec. Actuellement, j'ai même pas besoin, bien sûr, de faire l'hydratation parce que en arrière, je pense qu'il me reste avec moi. Je vais le boire parce que je dois le boire quand même. Fait que c'est ça l'Asperger's, ça, c'est ça. Fait qu'en tout cas, j'ai pas une bonne mémoire, j'ai une bonne mémoire des 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Après 11, ça vient comme c'est noirci, là, ma mémoire. Et je sais pas si je faisais de la drogue, l'alcoolisme ou le trompe ou quelque chose, mais je m'en souviens avoir déménagé de là. Je pense que j'ai déménagé le 1er juillet, on est le 1er juillet aujourd'hui, soit 2016 ou 2015. Fait que 9 ou 8 ans, là, depuis que j'ai déménagé. Oui, 10. 9 ou 10, wow. J'habitais comme dans une cellule, donc c'était une petite place, sous-sol, plein de moisissures, puis je m'en souviens avoir déménagé de là, je m'en souviens avoir été attaqué par surprise, puis j'étais mis j'étais dans un coma un couple de jours, là, c'est un couple de jours à cause de ces médicaments, là, que pour la douleur, là, puis j'ai déménagé, j'étais en dépression suicidaire, et puis en 2017, j'ai traversé le Canada de côte à côte. En 2017, j'ai traversé le Canada de côte à côte. Bien sûr, côte à côte, j'ai traversé le Canada de côte à côte. Puis cet événement, mais ça m'a fait sortir de ma dépression, tu sais. J'ai établi un esprit de corps solide avec le Québec, le Canada, les États-Unis. En août 2017, l'été 2017, je vais marquer 8 ans de cet événement. Avant ça, pendant un couple d'années, j'étais en dépression suicidaire. Puis malheureusement, chez les Asperger's, comme moi-même, la trinité de problèmes, le manque d'amis, le taux de suicide puis de dépression, il est super haut. Quand je dis élevé, là, c'est 9 fois plus que vous, les 99,56%. 9 fois plus chez les Asperger's. Ben, c'est sûr qu'à cause de cette isolation, puis la différence, puis blablabla, etc., etc. Ben, une autre chose qui se passe à cause de ça, bien sûr, c'est le taux de chômage. C'est inacceptable, là. 80%, là. Chez les Asperger's, comme moi, de ma communauté, qui est une petite communauté, encore une fois, de moins d'1%, moins de la moitié d'un pourcentage. Au Québec, au Canada, aux États-Unis, en Amérique du Nord, c'est 0,44% qui ont l'Asperger's, qui sont autistes, non fonctionnels. Hey, les belles fleurs qui sont ici. Checkez ça. Fait que c'est ça l'Asperger's. En général, bien sûr. Puis l'autre problème, c'est sans emploi. J'ai eu bien de l'emploi, j'ai bien aimé, là. J'ai eu bien de l'emploi, j'ai bien de l'emploi. J'ai adoré avoir de l'emploi, j'ai adoré travailler avec CHSLD, mais j'ai aimé travailler avec l'acier, j'ai aimé travailler avec l'entrepôt, j'ai aimé travailler dans l'écologie, bien sûr, J'ai aimé avoir ces choses-là, bien sûr, d'avoir fait dans un compromis d'élégance, bien sûr, pour le faire dans cet événement, qu'on soit ici, qu'on se dit, ben, de la manière qu'on vit, puis de la manière qu'on est, puis de la manière qu'on est, on est différent. Fait que cette différence, ça peut... On doit bâtir des ponts, puis des fois, c'est difficile, les choses sociales, puis la communication, des fois, avec les autres, tant que c'est pas relié à un sujet comme le travail ou d'autres choses, on a de la misère, comme... Par exemple, si vous me parlez de la vie personnelle des artistes, je suis quelqu'un qui a jamais acheté de... Tu sais, de gossip, là, qui parlent de la vie privée de, je sais pas, de Céline Dion ou de Marie-May ou, tu sais, comme... ces choses-là. Parce que je les comprends pas, moi. Pourquoi quelqu'un... Je comprends pas, mon cerveau, il est différent, fait que... Je comprends pas pourquoi quelqu'un veut savoir la vie privée de quelqu'un de même, puis pourquoi il s'intéresse tellement. Nous, c'est plus les idées des gens, les philosophies, les idées, puis quelqu'un, bien sûr, qu'on peut se faire comme des amis avec bénéfice, dans le sens qu'on peut avoir bénéfice pour se faire, bien sûr, des amis avec bénéfice, dans ce comportement qu'on est rendu, bien sûr, aujourd'hui, puis d'avoir de faire certaines choses, bien sûr, qui sont aujourd'hui... de dire que bien sûr cette différence, c'est une différence bien sûr qui sont bien sûr dans cette différence de l'ensemble de la proposition, bien sûr, de l'ensemble de la proposition qu'on est rendu puis qu'on est différent. Puis cette différence, ça fait bien sûr qu'on soit rendu ici, puis que je fais qu'est-ce que je fais, mes marches à ma deuxième maison, puis mes marches méditation, entraînement physique, bien sûr, puis je dois discuter aussitôt là. TRD, parce que c'est ça le plus important, bien sûr, mon travail, qui a fait bien du travail dans la géopolitique. Je dois le dire que je prends beaucoup de fierté en tant qu'un analyste et théoricien en géopolitique. Je tourne la caméra vers la salutation de nos frères et sœurs dans les armées, dans l'armée. Oh, un autre drapeau, parce qu'aujourd'hui, je suis en train de compter les drapeaux que je vois sur la route. Puis j'en ai vu pas mal, mais moi, bien sûr, je l'ai toujours. Je l'ai toujours, mon drapeau, il commence à mouiller, pleuvoir, fait que je vais devoir mettre de quoi pour le protéger, mon sac à dos, parce que j'ai les gants rouges que mon ami anonyme m'a donné en 2018, parce que depuis 2018, je fais appel, bien sûr, à Donald Trump de me combattre dans un combat de boxe. Depuis 2018, je fais appel à Donald Trump de me combattre dans un combat de boxe, depuis qu'il a fait l'erreur. Du point de vue géopolitique, je ne suis pas un partisan de mon grand-papa Trump, mais bien sûr, il a fait une erreur stratégique parce que nous, là, il faut qu'on ait les meilleures relations ensemble avec les États-Unis. Avec les États-Unis aussi, parallèlement, il faut qu'on ait les mêmes relations réciproques parce que c'est bien sûr un intérêt commun, puis c'est la réalité géopolitique. Parce que nous, là, premièrement, quand ça vient à la politique extérieure, en première place, il faut qu'on ait les meilleures relations avec les États-Unis, économiques, de défense, de sécurité, de services, de socioculturel. C'est juste ça, puis c'est réciproque pour les États-Unis aussi. Il n'y a pas de non ou peut-être à cette déclaration que je viens de faire du point de vue de la géopolitique, je parle. Là. Je parle pas d'autre chose, je parle de la géopolitique, c'est ça. Puis en tant qu'analyste théoricien, mes stratégies sont pour le collectif de l'Amérique du Nord parce que, bien sûr, il faut qu'on fasse l'implémentation de ma TRD. Je veux juste mettre... Fait que là, je tarde plus, je parle de la TRD parce que c'est plus important, parce que si je continue à parler de moi-même, bien, ça va faire la continuité de parler de moi-même, puis je pense que ça... Ça ne sert pas à grand-chose. Fait que qu'est-ce que je vais faire, c'est que je vais couvrir ça. Je vais couvrir mon sac. Je vais vous montrer les gants rouges. Je vends le sac, je vends qu'est-ce que je porte pour 1 million. Je vais donner la moitié à mon ami anonyme. Fait que ça, c'est les gants rouges qu'on m'avait donné en cadeau, bien sûr. On m'avait donné en cadeau pour les faire, bien sûr, pour les faire. Puis c'est des choses, bien sûr, que moi-même, je dois dire merci, mais c'est les gants rouges avec lesquels je vais combattre Donald Trump sur la frontière du Canada et des États-Unis, dans ce même monde qu'on envisage, bien sûr, dans la stratégie qu'il faut qu'on se fasse l'enroulement ensemble. Fait que, qu'est-ce que je vais faire, bien sûr, c'est que je vais protéger le sac, bien sûr, dans cette protection de sac, bien sûr, avec, qu'est-ce que mon ami anonyme m'a donné, bien sûr, c'est ça. Et je vais sortir, puis je vais sortir l'eau pour l'hydratation si j'en ai besoin. C'est que si je ne mets pas, le sac va être... C'est important que je mette ça sur le sac. Sinon, le sac, bien sûr, il va avoir de l'eau, fait qu'il va se mouiller. C'est pour ça que c'est important de mettre ça dedans. Parce que là, s'il commence à mouiller, il va avoir un sac endommagé dans ce point de vue d'endommagement. C'est quelque chose, bien sûr, que moi-même, je dois le faire dans cet environnement où que je vois qu'il y a des tonnerres qui s'envisagent, bien sûr, dans le point de vue d'avoir un sac qui est protégé. Fait que ce sac, il est maintenant protégé par pour la pluie. Donc, merci à mon ami anonyme encore. Fait que là, je suis prêt à discuter, bien sûr, de la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Et bien sûr, ça fait une chose que je fasse moi-même dans le point de vue de presse pour dire dans le statut où qu'on est rendu. Eh bien, c'est ça qu'il faut que je fasse moi-même. Et encore une fois, salut à nos frères et sœurs en uniforme. Merci, bonjour pour le service. Il faut que vous fassiez vous-même ce petit compromis. Et bien sûr, pour servir dans l'armée du dragon, qu'il faut qu'on fasse dans ce point d'avoir une compréhension directe, de qu'on fasse bien sûr un point de convergence. Donc, la TRD, c'est quoi? Encore une fois, l'Asperger, c'est pas une maladie mentale, puis je vous mets sur la table quelque chose de béni, béni, béni. Cette bénédiction se passe comme la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Théorie de la refusion de la dette. Qu'est-ce que c'est la théorie de la refusion de la dette? C'est la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, pour la stratégie, bien sûr, bipolaire, pas confondre la stratégie géopolitique bipolaire avec la stratégie, avec la psychiatrie, avec la psychologie. C'est une stratégie bipolaire d'une manière que c'est bipolaire de la manière de... pour la stratégie géopolitique. Donc ça n'a rien à voir avec, bien sûr, ça n'a rien à voir avec ça n'a rien à voir avec les autres stratégies. C'est une stratégie de géopolitique. Donc la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, dans la théorie de la refusion de la dette, destin, destiny. So I guess through all the routes, you get to the destiny. Different routes, par les mêmes routes, tu t'en vas vers le... En tout cas, la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, il faut que je vous la discute maintenant, le plus tôt possible. Parce que c'est une théorie qui va nous sauver d'où qu'on est rendu, puis c'est une théorie, puis une stratégie, bien sûr, c'est une stratégie, bien sûr, pour avoir de la concordance. Ah, j'adore ça. Ah, j'adore ça, la musique, c'est comme ça. Suivre la musique, j'imagine. Suivre la musique parce que j'aime ça, c'est vraiment bon. C'est vraiment bon. Fait que la TRD avant le tonnerre, théorie de la refusion de la dette, ça contient dans ma théorie, dans la théorie de la refusion de la dette, ça contient la théorie d'intégration monétaire. Tassez-vous de la police s'ils viennent. Je veux dire, tassez-vous, faites attention, puis ralentissez. Si vous envoyez la police, puis l'ambulance pour les routes, la sécurité routière, ralentissez un peu. Ralentissez, vous entendez l'ambulance, là, tout ça, parce que c'est mieux être en retard un peu que, tu sais, avoir pour nos citoyens le corps, là, c'est souverain, puis le corps, c'est important, la santé du corps. Fait que juste la route, juste, sous la pédale, là, on arrête de... On pèse sur le frein un peu, on se regarde à gauche, à droite, puis on se tasse. L'ambulance, on se tasse. Comme citoyen, tu sais. Mais le bon samaritain, c'est tout ce que je connais, même si je vis un stress financier maintenant. Je vis un stress financier, bien sûr. Mais en vivant un stress financier, bien sûr, c'est un stress financier que moi aussi je vis. Mais c'est des choses, bien sûr, que je vis ce stress financier seulement, mais à part ça, je suis correct même. J'ai accepté ma différence d'Asperger, puis j'ai payé mon loyer. Aujourd'hui, le 1er juillet, j'ai peut-être de l'argent pour m'acheter du café dans cette semaine parce que il me reste une petite coupole, une petite une capsule, dans le fond, c'est une capsule, c'est pas une coupole, là, c'est une capsule du café, mais c'est décaf, c'est sans caféine, donc c'est ça que j'ai du travail à faire, à m'acheter du café. J'ai payé l'Hydro-Québec. Puis là, la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, je vous l'explique. Théorie de la refusion de la dette, qu'est-ce que c'est? C'est la théorie financière, puis il y a une stratégie pour faire l'implémentation. Il faut qu'on fasse l'implémentation, le Canada et les États-Unis ensemble. Canada et les États-Unis ensemble, de la TRD. Car aujourd'hui, on est dans une situation très précaire du point de vue financièrement. On est dans une situation très difficile. Pas tout le monde, là, mais la majorité des gens, on vit dans un surendettement. Les cartes de crédit, un record d'endettement, de dette sur les cartes de crédit. C'est un record, hein? C'est jamais passé auparavant, là, depuis les jours, semaines, mois, puis des années passées, durant 2020 puis 2020, puis cette condition financière, cette situation financière, un autre drapeau, se trouve pour le Canada et les États-Unis ensemble, OK? Moi, j'ai pas de carte de crédit, j'ai une dette quand même de 10 000 $ sur une ligne de crédit. Une ligne de crédit, c'est 10 000 $, puis je paye 10,44 % d'intérêt. 10,44 d'intérêt. OK? Fait que, si on peut traverser, là, et je me demande si je peux aller par là. C'est un cul-de-sac, je pense pas, mais regardez si je pars parce que je vois un autre drapeau. Fait que, là, à cause de ce surendettement, les cartes de crédit qui existent aujourd'hui en circulation, puis même maintenant déjà à travers le Montréal, la métropole, à travers la belle province, à travers le Québec, à travers le Canada, à travers le collectif de l'Amérique du Nord, qui inclut les États-Unis, des gens mais sont en train d'utiliser leur carte de crédit en ce moment pour acheter certaines choses. Moi, je n'en ai pas, fait que moi, je ne peux pas en utiliser, mais on est à un niveau record d'intérêt record. C'est record, là, c'est un record d'intérêt qu'on paie. Pas juste mais l'intérêt, ça vient avec. Les cartes de crédit, si on n'est pas capable de gérer la situation, mais le double problème qui se rajoute de pression, je parle financièrement, la pression, là, c'est bien sûr le fait que les prix augmentent. Comme je disais tantôt dans ma discussion en anglais, au début, la première partie du vidéo, avant que je me rende en français, ben, je disais, ben, exactement, moi, tantôt, je suis allé m'acheter, je voulais acheter pour moi et mon ami anonyme pour la première fête, pour la fête du Canada, une bouteille de vin pour qu'on boive, parce que c'est pour ça que je me rends chez nous pour regarder un film canadien, pour boire une bouteille de vin puis avoir du fromage. Fait que j'ai acheté le moins cher que je pouvais trouver parce que le sac est fermé, c'est beau ça. Et ils sont belles ces petites jaunes-là, j'adore les fleurs jaunes. Et wow, vraiment vif, hein? Tout vivant, ça donne la vie, l'énergie là-dessus, là. What? Excellent, ça. J'adore ces fleurs-là jaunes de même. Bon travail. Hey, c'est wow. C'est un beau petit coin jaune, là. C'est cool. Ça. Fait que c'est ça, la situation actuelle qu'on se retrouve. C'est que les prix augmentent. Puis même tantôt, comme je dis en anglais, mais je voulais acheter pour moi mon ami anonyme, tu sais, un lunch, tu sais, un lunch. Dans le fond, je vais dire un lunch, tu sais, pour manger quelque chose. Puis avant, ça coûtait 7 $ pour acheter. C'était un couple, tu devais choisir là, les ailes de poulet que tu voulais ou avec des frites que tu voulais, puis avec un sauce. Ou des rondelles d'oignon. Puis mettre ça dans un paquet de carton. Là, voilà 3 ans et demi, c'était 5 $, ça. J'ai acheté durant la COVID à 5 $. Voilà 2 ans, ça a été, la dernière fois qu'on a acheté, l'année passée, ça a coûté 7. Puis là, j'étais rendu pour en acheter, puis il me dit c'est rendu 9 $. Fait que de 5, ça a augmenté à 9. Fait que c'est quasiment double. Même de 7 à 9, c'est 2 $. C'est quasiment 30 % là, d'augmentation. Il n'y a pas bien les salaires qui ont augmenté de 30 %. C'est ça le problème. Puis le lait, là, j'ai vu du lait, là, tu sais, les 4 litres, là, un gallon, les 4 litres. J'ai vu à 10 $ dans ce même magasin, je ne dirai pas le nom du magasin, à 10,89. À 10,99. J'ai jamais vu ça. Ce lait-là, il était toujours à 7, à 8 et quelques, là. Même avant, il était à 6 et quelques, 7 et quelques. Il a augmenté tranquillement. Là, c'est 10,99. J'ai acheté le moins cher sur le marché, mais go qui est bon, je ne me finance pas, il me pas de commandite, rien, personne en ce moment, tu sais. Je suis ouvert toujours pour les commandites pour le travail, surtout vis-à-vis de mon travail. d'artistes, athlètes, rock&roll et analystes et théoriciens en géopolitique qui met sur la table la stratégie de la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Puis là, on n'a pas le choix parce que d'implémenter quelque chose de similaire. Les prix, qu'est-ce qui se passe là? Ça, ils n'arrêtent pas d'augmenter les prix là. C'est pas possible là. C'est qu'est-ce qui se passe, tu sais? On va devoir faire quelque chose là parce que les gens sont surendettés parallèlement. Le salaire, la stagnation de la majorité des salaires. La majorité des salaires. La majorité des salaires. Les salaires n'augmentent pas exactement. Il y en a qui augmentent de 3%, 5%. C'est pour ça qu'il y a de plus en plus de grèves, là, tu sais. Mais ça n'augmente pas de temps, en temps de pourcentage pour garder l'équilibre. Vous comprenez? C'est ça le problème en ce moment. Les prix n'augmentent pas. Les prix n'arrêtent pas d'augmenter. Tantôt, j'ai vu le livre, j'ai dit, ben non, je vais acheter le moins cher à 8$ et quelques. Même celle-là, j'ai acheté avant à 7,93. Je m'en souviens, c'est là que j'ai acheté. Fait qu'il a augmenté d'une pièce, là. Quand même, 90 cents. Là. Exact, il va falloir que je calcule, mais quand même, il a augmenté de au moins 15, que je calcule un peu, mental, 10 à 15%. 10 à 15% d'augmentation. Puis l'autre, je pense qu'il a augmenté de comme 40%. Là. Non, 20%, 20 à 25% l'autre d'augmentation. Pas 40, non, pas 40%. Je fais ça de ma tête, mais environ 20 à 25%, oui. C'est comme 2 piastres, tu sais. Comme 2 piastres sur 8, ça c'est 2 piastres sur 8, ça c'est 25%. Parce que 2 piastres sur 8, c'est comme 1 sur 4. Fait qu'une fraction, la fraction 1 sur 4, ça équivaut à 25%. La fraction 1 sur 5, c'est 1 sur 5, c'est 20%. 1 sur 4, c'est 25%. Moi, je vois ça dans ma tête, calcul. J'ai quand même une habileté pas trop excellente, là, comme docteur des mathématiques. Je ne suis pas Isaac Newton non plus, mais ces calculs des pourcentages, des fractions, ça vient dans ma tête. Ces réponses-là, quand je vois sur le marché, je fais le calcul, ça saute dans ma tête. Comme je vois les réponses, je veux dire. Bon, fait que... Fait que là, je parle de la TRD, puis je me concentre là-dessus, mais c'est ça qui est ça. On n'a pas le choix de faire l'implémentation de la TRD, car les prix n'arrêtent pas d'augmenter, là. Ça n'arrête pas d'augmenter. Qu'est-ce qu'on va faire? qu'on va occuper dans le budget, puis parallèlement dans le coin des citoyens privés, aussi dans le public, bien sûr, le pourcentage qu'on a fait pour implémenter dans le pourcentage de cette affaire, le pourcentage de faire dans ce pourcentage, bien sûr, de où qu'on est rendu maintenant à faire un gros pourcentage dedans. Dans cette théorie, bien sûr, de pourcentage, on est rendu à avoir une pression aussi dans le public, pression financière, parce que notre économie n'a pas augmenté bien durant la COVID, mais qu'est-ce qui a augmenté? C'est l'intérêt qu'on paye, parce qu'on a dû implémenter des programmes pour soutenir la population durant la coronavirus, que moi-même je l'ai eu, puis je pensais que j'allais mourir vraiment, là, en 2020, là, en février 2020, là, à moitié, à peu près, à mi-février là, 2020, et jusqu'à comme mi-mars, là, fin de mars, j'étais vraiment malade. J'étais tombé malade, je pensais que j'allais mourir, je pensais que c'était mes derniers jours, mais j'ai survécu. Fait que je me suis fait vacciner 3 fois, j'ai eu pas de problème. Les vaccins, l'hygiène en public, là, c'est important. Fait que la TRD maintenant, avant qu'il y ait de la tonnerre, ça me dérange pas, le soleil, la tonnerre, la tempête, c'est rock&roll. Fait que cette pression additionnelle de la dette publique, on va devoir couper quelque chose dans les services publics, la GRC peut-être, les policiers de la GRC, des gens qui ont le débordement avec la pression externe des États-Unis sur le fentanyl et tout, là. C'est sérieux, là, quand même. Je suis pas de la droite ni de la gauche, je suis centriste. Mon centriste, quand même, quand ça vient à la géopolitique, il faut c'est la géopolitique, réelle géopolitique. Ça veut dire que ça considère pas vraiment les autres points de vue, mais la pratique puis la réalité de la géopolitique. Bien sûr, je suis un peu idéaliste, quand même, un peu, je rêve un peu certaines choses, mais c'est marqué aussi par la balance de la réelle géopolitique. Fait qu'on va devoir couper quelque chose dans le budget, là, dans le budget du Canada. Mais qu'est-ce qu'on va couper? Là? Quel service? Le service de la santé, de la sécurité, des prisons peut-être. Des prisons, la police, la GRC, Gendarmerie royale, etc., etc., etc. Fait que la TRD, je vous l'explique. On va prendre toute la dette publique-privée. Mon 10 000, ton 10 000, son 10 000 de côte à côte. Tenez compte que dans la théorie de la refusion de la dette, cette théorie, ça intègre la théorie d'intégration monétaire. Donc, dans ma TRD, est intégrée dedans la théorie d'intégration monétaire. C'est que la théorie que les Européens ont fait l'implémentation dans les années 80, les Allemands, les Italiens, les Français, ils ont détruit leur banque centrale. Ils ont détruit leur banque centrale. Fait que dans les années 90, ils ont détruit leur banque centrale, là, les Allemands, les Italiens, les Français. Ils ont détruit leur banque, vous comprenez? Ils ont détruit leur banque centrale dans les années 90. Fait que de cette manière-là, ils ont fait l'implémentation de la théorie d'intégration monétaire qui est intégrée dans ma théorie de la refusion de la dette, dans ma TRD, la TRD de votre dragon. Donc, c'est ça que les Européens ont fait. Ils ont détruit leur banque nationale. Ils n'ont plus de banque nationale en Allemagne, les Allemands, en Italie, en France. Ils ont c'est la banque centrale européenne qui ont mis en circulation une monnaie commune, l'euro. Euro à place de Deutschmark. Ils ont fini ça, ils ont détruit ça. Les Italiens, les autres, d'autres pays aussi. Là. Oh, je vais devoir me grouiller un peu en traverser. Oh, je suis rendu. Toujours regarder de la gauche et de la droite avant que vous traversiez là, cette petite maison que j'adore ici comme un conte de fées. Là, puis ça me donne un peu, ça m'inspire un peu des contes. Surtout des contes, j'écris des contes d'enfants, mais ça m'inspire aussi un peu des contes d'enfants. Mais en tout cas, elle est belle, qu'est-ce que vous en pensez? Un petit peu fée ou un petit peu sorcier, un peu sorcier un peu, peut-être. La TRD, c'est pas de la sorcellerie, c'est de la stratégie bipolaire, pas de la bipolarité comme la psychiatrie ou la psychologie, mais c'est une stratégie bipolaire pour la fusion du Canada et des États-Unis, pour la domination qu'on domine ensemble dans le 21e siècle de la géopolitique. C'est ça, la stratégie bipolaire par la TRD, la stratégie bipolaire par la TRD. Et bien sûr, c'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'il faut qu'on fasse aussitôt. Donc, je vous l'explique. La TRD, ça contient la théorie d'intégration monétaire. On va prendre toute la dette publique-privée du Canada de côte à côte, incluant mon 10 000. Moi, j'ai un 10 000 $ de dette à la Banque Royale. Toute la dette publique-privée de côte à côte, on va faire la conversion dans la devise des États-Unis. Fait qu'on va convertir toute la dette publique-privée, on va convertir dans la devise des États-Unis de côte à côte. Toute la dette publique-privée, on l'a convertie dans la devise des États-Unis. Cet argent-là, il faut qu'on fasse l'implémentation de ma TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, de manière binationale avec les États-Unis. Il faut qu'on fasse ensemble, Canada et États-Unis. On va mettre toute la dette publique-privée des États-Unis ensemble avec notre dette. Cet argent-là, ça va donner fondation pour l'argent qui existe aussi en circulation pour la création d'une nouvelle banque centrale où on va mettre en circulation l'unité d'échange universel. Oui. U point unité, E point échange, U point universel. U point unité, E point échange, U point universel. U point unité, E point échange, U point universel. Le oui. On ne s'obstinera pas parce qu'en anglais, c'est pareil. Oui. L'unité d'échange universel, avec cet argent-là, on va pouvoir réparer bien des nids de poules, des infrastructures. Vous voyez, les 3 corbeaux, ils disent oui à la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. C'est un beau signe parce que ça a 3 lettres. Oh, le 4e qui est là, mais il faut faire l'implémentation avec amour. Le 4e corbeau est là. Il a dit oui, la TRD, mais la 4e dimension, c'est qu'il faut qu'on fasse avec les États-Unis. Bipolaire, mais bipolaire pour la stratégie bipolaire, pour la domination du 20e siècle, pour le Canada dans le collectif de l'Amérique du Nord, pour bien sûr, avec cet argent-là, on va faire la création de 2 institutions nouvelles de partenariat public-privé, puis ça va prendre un PPP, un partenariat public-privé, pour faire l'implémentation de la TRD. On va faire l'implémentation, tourner la tête de gauche à droite pour votre sécurité routière aussi. Fait que toute la dette va être refusée. C'est pour ça la TRD, théorie de la refusion. Puis on va faire la création de cette nouvelle monnaie avec les États-Unis ensemble. Le Mexique peut se rejoindre. Haïti, ils font partie du collectif de l'Amérique du Nord. Puis bien sûr, on peut le mettre à travers d'autres pays. Ça peut être transatlantique, mais premièrement, Canada et États-Unis. On va faire la création de l'UI. U point unité, E point échange, U point universel. Unité d'échange universel. Le oui. U point unité, E point échange. U point unité, E point échange, U point universel. L'unité d'échange universel, le oui, va avoir la valeur du dollar des États-Unis. On va mettre un taux d'intérêt de 10%. Ça ne pourra plus être plus que 10% après ça. Avec cet argent-là, on va bien sûr faire le financement de l'infrastructure, toute l'infrastructure, les ponts. On va bâtir plus de centrales Hydro-Québec. On va financer les gens à l'entraînement physique, financer les gens au tourisme et des belles fleurs embellissent l'embellissement de nos villes, des 10 provinces, 50 États et 3 territoires. Le roi est absent, il faut qu'on fasse le fusionnement. On va enlever la frontière. On va faire la création de l'armée du dragon, soit la légion des 63 légions, intégrée avec toutes les institutions de sécurité puis pour le service de sécurité puis la défense. C'est juste pour la sécurité, service, défense de côte à côte. On va faire un grand recensement, voir ceux qui peuvent bien sûr servir pour bâtir. On va bâtir 44 tunnels. 44 tunnels dans le cas d'une guerre thermonucléaire. Ces 44 tunnels sont inspirés par les montagnes Cheyenne qui se trouvent bien sûr à Cheyenne, c'est le siège de notre alliance militaire avec les États-Unis, aussi connu en anglais comme le NORAD. Et bien sûr, on va inspiré aussi par le village souterrain de Montréal. Puis c'est un paradoxe, parce que je ne suis pas un partisan, je ne soutiens pas Hamas, mais en Gaza, Hamas, ils ont bâti des centaines, entre 350 et 600 kilomètres en dessous de en dessous de Gaza, il y a des tunnels, tu sais. Vous avez vu ça, des tunnels entre 350 kilomètres et 600 kilomètres de tunnels à Gaza. Entre 350 et 600. Entre 350 et 600. Fait que c'est bien des tunnels qu'ils ont bâtis. Fait qu'inspiré, on va bâtir 44 complexes de tunnels pour la continuité du complexe de civilisation de l'Amérique du Nord dans le cas d'une guerre thermonucléaire. On va financer les gens à l'entraînement physique, financer les gens au tourisme, rebâtir des ponts, des centrales, puis aussi à l'armée du dragon, soit les légions pour la sécurité, service, défense, basés sur mes protocoles, les nouveaux protocoles du dragon 911 pour le collectif de civilisation de l'Amérique du Nord, pour la SSD, sécurité, service, défense. Quand je dis pour la SSD, tenez en compte que c'est des acronymes pour dire pour la SSD, sécurité, service, défense, pour la SSD, sécurité, service, défense, pour la SSD, sécurité, service, défense. Seulement de côte à côte. Intégré avec toutes les institutions de sécurité publique qui existent en ce moment. Intégré avec toutes les sécurités de services qui existent en ce moment. Et bien sûr, c'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'il faut qu'on dise, puis qu'il faut qu'on dise avec cette maison-là, avec moitié-moitié avec mon ami anonyme, mais c'est proche de la rivière mieux, parce que moi, ça me dérange pas n'importe où avoir. Je suis content, mais quand même, j'habite à une meilleure place où j'habitais avant à Côte-des-Neiges. C'était comme à Côte-des-Neiges, j'habitais à Côte-des-Neiges. C'était comme une petite cellule de prison. Il y avait beaucoup de moisissures. Puis je suis ici, j'ai survécu la dépression, j'ai survécu être suicidaire. Puis c'est un paradoxe, mais à cause de l'Asperger's, l'intérêt spécial aussi connu comme obsessif que j'ai moi-même, c'est la géopolitique. Et quand on étudie dans la géopolitique, c'est bien sûr, on doit savoir un peu de l'économie, des finances et du commerce. De l'économie, des finances et du commerce, c'est bon. La TRD aussi, avec la théorie d'intégration citoyenne, c'est comme une affaire, bien sûr, pour dire que la théorie d'intégration citoyenne et la théorie de la fusion démocratique, c'est des théories, bien sûr, pour la stratégie bipolaire. Encore une fois, ne pas confondre cette stratégie bipolaire avec la psychiatrie, la psychologie, la condition de bipolarité, que ça existe. Hein. Il y a du monde qui sont bipolaires, des fois, ça va bien, mais c'est une stratégie de géopolitique bipolaire. Une stratégie de la géopolitique bipolaire. Stratégie de la géopolitique bipolaire. La stratégie de la géopolitique bipolaire. Et c'est ça, bien sûr, qui est ça. Fait que cette stratégie de la géopolitique bipolaire, c'est justement pour dire que même dans le sens bizarre, étrange que j'ai dans cette difficulté sociale, j'ai ce grand paradoxe. La TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, c'est quelque chose, bien sûr, qu'il faut que je fasse l'implémentation dedans. Fait que la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, faut qu'on fasse. On n'a pas le choix vraiment, là, parce qu'on est en train d'avoir un effondrement financier sur l'horizon. C'est possible que demain, le 2 juillet, le 4 juillet, la fête des États-Unis de l'indépendance, c'est possible que ça commence. Fait qu'encore une fois, on va prendre toute la dette publique-privée. On va faire la conversion de toute la dette publique-privée dans la devise des États-Unis. Cette addition, on va faire ensemble pour qu'on fasse la création de l'unité d'échange universelle. L'unité d'échange universelle. L'unité d'échange universelle. L'unité d'échange universelle va avoir la valeur du dollar des États-Unis. Du dollar des États-Unis, ça. Oui, l'unité d'échange universelle, on va se fusionner avec les États-Unis. On va se fusionner ensemble pour l'avenir. On a un destin commun, Citoyen. L'autre fois, je parlais avec quelqu'un, je parlais pas vraiment, mais c'était sur en ligne, mais il hésite de voter oui au référendum, mais peut-être que je quitterai pas le Québec, là, je sais pas, là, tu sais. Moi, je voterai non. Là, je suis pour la fusion, je suis pour le français. Je fais ma part, mais je dois le faire de ma part aussi en tant qu'individu si moi, je le fais pas. Tu sais. Je vais apprendre, moi, le plus possible quand on va chanter dans l'armée du dragon de San Francisco à Montréal, puis de Montréal à San Francisco. On va chanter les cadences en français puis en anglais. Puis, bien sûr, Donald Trump va pouvoir apprendre un peu de Céline Dion aussi, des belles paroles. Bilingue comme Céline, il n'y a pas de problème. On va continuer à faire cet arrangement ici. Mais on est Québécois, Canadiens, Nord-Américains. Puis en géopolitique, si les Européens, avec toutes leurs distinctions socioculturelles puis leur histoire de guerre du 20e siècle, nous, on a fait le grand compromis pour avoir la continuité, bien sûr, de l'harmonie puis la paix. On continue de même, tu sais. C'est quelque chose, bien sûr, qu'il faut qu'on fasse. Donc, dans ce compromis qu'on va faire, bien sûr, dans ce compromis, c'est quelque chose qu'il faut que je m'exprime moi-même, puis il faut faire un effort moi-même. Si je ne le fais pas, moi, mon effort, si moi, je ne le fais pas, moi, mon effort, je dois le faire, moi aussi. Il faut le faire. C'est quand même quelque chose qu'il faut que je le fasse moi-même, tu sais. Bon, c'est ça. La TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Prêter allégeance, les gens, on va faire la création de l'unité d'échange universelle et on va faire la création de l'unité d'échange universelle pour ce grand compromis, puis qu'on va continuer à faire des belles. Et c'est beau, ça. Et je trouve ça vraiment beau ici. Wow, ça, c'est un jardin que j'adore avec toutes les couleurs, là. Chaque fois que je passe, c'est wow. Vraiment un beau travail. Comment que c'est fait, là. Wow. Sérieusement, un des meilleurs quand même jardins, moi-même, un des meilleurs jardins que j'ai vu. Si vous passez par là, bien sûr, juste passer, puis vous voyez un peu, là, quand même, mais c'est des beaux jardins qui sont là dans le coin, là. Quel bout de connaît, tourner de la tête à gauche, à droite, de la gauche à droite, tourner comme ça, pour voir, tu sais, dans ce compromis qu'on fait ici, mais c'est des choses comme ça, bien sûr. C'est là, la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, puis parallèlement avec les autres théories, la théorie d'intégration citoyenne, la théorie de la fusion démocratique, par l'amour, bien sûr, c'est ça qu'il faut qu'on fasse. On n'a pas vraiment le choix. C'est quelque chose qu'il faut qu'on fasse. C'est sûr, Donald Trump, je le fais à vie pour me donner pour me combattre dans un combat de boxe depuis 2018. On va aussi bâtir sur la frontière du Canada et des États-Unis le Colisée du peuple impérial. Le Colisée du peuple impérial, bâtir ensemble pour avoir du sport à perpétuité, le temple de la déesse. Le temple de la déesse, oubliez que je veux bâtir, déesse. Dieu déesse, j'ai pas toutes les réponses, je suis mystique, je suis à des réincarnations, des fois j'étais né homme, des fois femme. Aux États-Unis, j'ai servi dans l'armée américaine dans 2 guerres différentes. Ici, j'étais né, j'ai rencontré Louis Cyr. J'ai aussi été femme entre 1688 et 1735 ici, 1735. Bien sûr, j'étais femme, mais c'est des choses, bien sûr, que moi-même, je dois faire. Et oui, c'est ça, mes chers. C'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'il faut que je fasse dans ce point. Hey, c'est des belles petites fleurs. Travailleurs publics, camionneurs, pompiers, prêter allégeance, les gens, vous êtes famille. Les cadences, let's get ready for that cadence. Creating freestyle mode. We're waiting for some thunder to clap. Rain stopped, where's the thunder at? Going towards the sun. Special cadence created 1st of July, Canada Day. Coast to coast to coast, ocean to ocean. We're gonna get drilling with that, and that's how we're gonna get drilling on that faculty. We got 5 seconds, 4 seconds, 3 seconds. So we're gonna wait and start that cadence. Actually, this is one way, so just be prudent, because there they have to stop, actually, even if it's not, see, because of the sign there. But it's one way, so just turn your heads left and right. Cadence. From the coast to coast to coast. King is absent that we're told. Hey, the dragon army, here we are. We got some of us, plenty of scars. For the firefighters, rise and shine. For the plumbers, electricians, they need some of those dimes. Coast to coast to coast. Hey, we gotta get it, so you see. Hey, you gotta see. Get some bagels and some cheese. Get some cadence and some sneeze. We gotta go on the marching toes. I'm wearing red and white today, it's Canada Day, so no military grade boots today. And whether you're in slippers, specify. Which way of life? How is it killing us? Which way of life? Maybe it's killing some more than others, some more than others. Hey, encouraging fitness, gotta be on the clock, the satellites. Let's go build some helicopters, build some choppers for the Dragon Army on us. We gotta be so you can see on the left and on the me. And you see we got some heaven. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Gotta meet some Canada Day. Hey, goodbye to the king. We got the Republican Army, Dragon Republican Army. Gotta beat for the SSD, security, service, and defense. Gotta build some more incense. Where the thunders that's upset. Free the cadence that's a blessed. Free the cadence that's a left. Left and right and in the sight. Gotta get some army right. Gotta love this structure building. Painted some red and green and happy. Coast to coast for the farmers, for the butchers, for the bakers. Special Canadian edition cadence. We got some French in here. We got some bacon, got some prairies. Got some ocean, got some fisheries. All the way in Nova Scotia. Special Canada's 13 new states for the new kingdom, perpetual empire. The perpetual empire, the Imperium of the 63. Gotta be that you see. Gotta be so that you be. Left and right so that you me. Left and right so that you see. Gotta be in harmony. So you see on the left, so you see on the best, so you see there's left. Hey, we got some Nova Scotia. Hey, we got some Labrador. Labradorians, what's happening? Rock and roll. Hey, we got some Prince Edward. We got some Halifax. We got some Charlestown. We got some towns and villages in the Maritimes, and gotta fish and gotta drink and gotta eat and gotta build. Now we got that Quebec, also called la belle province. Hey, you know we going towards Ontario. Say it out for the road, on the Thunder Bay, Ottawa, that Toronto. And that after that comes Manitoba. After the west comes the Saskatchewan. After Saskatchewan coming Alberta. After the Alberta is BC, standing for that British Columbia. Says hello to Calgary, Vancouver and Regina. Winnipeg, we're going north in Yukon. Got that yellow knife and the white horse. Which is which? I'm switching up. Northwest Territories, you gotta buckle up. Special Canadian Centric Canada Day. For the 13 new states for the fusion, and they signed the document September 11th or ASAP 24th of July. 24th of July, whenever the perpetual empire of the 63 new states for the perpetual imperial SSD for the empire, for the kingdom. We gotta get it together to get it on the drills, and we gotta get it on the left and on the right, and let's go coast to coast, ocean to ocean. We don't need no magic potion. Gotta rub and me some lotion. So you know we bought our oceans. Oceans we got, which is which to the east, which is which to the west. Dragon Army, you gotta answer that. You gotta know that. If you don't know, check it out, Google it, learn it, utter it. 44 times, next 44 minutes. Almost 45 times the next 45 minutes. Let's go. The Atlantic to the east, where the Maritimes are. The Pacific to the west, west from Montreal, that is, of course, from where I am. Sometimes my west, I can be east of you or west of you, depending on the point. Right? Point-centric, SSD legions. Pacific is that way where I'm heading west. British Columbia, Pacific. Let's go for the Canadian workers, lumber, working in steel, working in oil. Gotta get some soft, some daycare workers changing diapers. Gotta build those soft pillows. Public workers changing aqueducts. You know how we quack and duck. Gotta change those aqueducts. So you know, just ready up. Gotta give it so what's up. Left and right and in the arts. Gotta see it to believe it. Cadence gotta see you live it. Confederation is to get that federation. We're gonna get for the perpetual empire fusion of the 63. For the empire, for the empire, for the empire, for the empire. We gotta get it on the go, and that's all we gotta get doing, and we gotta get on left, and we gotta get on the go, and we gotta get for these flowers here, beautiful flowers. Hey, yeah, that's so beautiful with that. Hey, look at that. Isn't that nice? That's nice, and that's all we got, and that's all we gotta get drilling, man, you know? Let's go coast to coast to coast. Up we got the Nunavut, Kiwijack, Kiwijack, and Kiwijack, and Kiwijack. We got some left and got some pain. Got some bread and got some fame. Got some bread and got some fame. Got some art and got some dames. Got some frames, got some cars. Gotta not forget the truckers. Hey, somebody for them, we marching clappers. Gotta not forget the truckers. Gotta march for them with truckers. Special Canada Day. Adrian Hanna Dragon, keep my name out of your mouth if it's not for a blessing. Keep my name out of your mouth if it's not for a blessing. Keep my name out of your mouth if it's not for a blessing. Keep my name out of your mouth if it's not for a blessing. Adrian Hanna Dragon, laying the foundations of the Kingdom Empire. 63 Democratic Republican Empire. Strong PPP, public-private partnership with kisses. I got by the trains from the goddess, and it's pledge your legions, and that's how we're gonna get drilling with that, and that's how we're gonna get rock and roll. And somebody make some good loving for me also make some good loving for me tonight. Some good loving. It's a nice one. Make some good loving for me. It's all second hand, and I bought these second hand, and this I bought $8 shirt. Auctioning them for me, and my underwears, my socks, my rock and roll socks. Auctioning them for me, and that's the beautiful sunset, but we're heading towards a little bit of thunder. I don't mind thunder or storms, and that's how we're gonna turn our head. But there's a beautiful sunset. I'm not gonna deviate. I'm just gonna send some salutations for the sunset, and I guess we're gonna get some of that storms, and maybe not, maybe gonna get it if we can. But now we're heading to that headquarters, and gonna drink some wine, have some cheese with my anonymous friend, watch a Canadian movie, and Canadian cheese. The wine, it says Canadian, but I don't think it's real Canadian. I think they imported it. It had the maple leaf, that's why I bought it, but I think there's a mistake there, because I checked in the back and it says it's blended in Canada, but it's actually from imported wine. So, as we have wine, we have grapes in Quebec, Canada, we have wine. We have a lot of vineyards in Ontario, we have British Columbia, we have Quebec, we have across a lot of vineyards. And of course, there's Prince Edward County in Ontario, which is famous here. Quebec, we got some wines, and I think I'm gonna get myself some Quebec-made wines for the weekend, because I haven't drank Quebec-made wines in a while, and I have $15, but I'm financially stressed. That's my anonymous friend also. Gonna put a little bit of that in the mix. So, encouraging all to work out, train, exercise, and there's a little bit of a nice valley here, and nice alley where you can pass here in Montreal, Hawk Island, learn some French. Happy birthday, Canada Day. This is for my fellow Canadians, special July 1st. This march for all the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the truckers, the firefighters, the plumbers, the electricians, the bakers, those of course involved in the production, distribution of food, and those of course who do that beautiful construction work, and do that beautiful construction work to get it on the go. And I wonder where this was built. Canada, made in Canada, look at that. What'd you think? Bravo, bravo. So we can make it in Canada, and I'm always trying to learn new things. I know my geopolitics, but it's made in Canada. What a good way to end the movie. I gotta check some of that technical stuff, and that's a boiler, right? October 15, 2012, October 12th. My memory goes black out from that, but it says October 15, 2012, and my memories, I can go back to 2014, but maybe I'm a cyborg, made in Canada, made in Canada, made in Canada. What a cool. I hope we still make them. And Ferguson, Ontario, hey, builders, workers, Dragon Army, we need you. For the Empire, for the Empire, for the Empire, for the 63. The Articles of Perpetual Union need to be signed on the Mount Royal, me and Donald Trump and all the leaders of Canada. And so we're going to fuse and create the two complementary covenant and cooperative institute. Dragon Army with the Dancing Goddess Army. The DJ and the Dragon Army for the Empire, for the Kingdom, for the 63 legions. In perpetual SSD of the 63. Gonna be only for SSD, 21st century internal, only SSD. For the 10, the 50 and the 3. And we're gonna sign the creation of the perpetual empire for the perpetual union. It's gonna be a perpetual union. It's just like the Articles of Federation were signed in the 1776 and 1775 and 1774. We're going to have the perpetual Imperial Union by fusing Canada and the United States via my Trinity theories, the DRT, death row fusion theory, the CIT, citizen integration theory, and the DFT, democratic fusion theory. So that's all we're going to need to be doing, and that's all we will do. Together, yours truly, let's rock and roll with that, and that's what it is. And pledge allegiance, legions.